important does it become for from the United Kingdom's perspective? Because the trade surplus is with India, and what United Kingdom at this point of time is hoping is that there is some balance that is created in a balance of trade between India and United Kingdom, and mostly when we take a look at at these lists where India has reduced the tariffs significantly, from 100% to 10% when it comes to the auto industry, liquor. These are significant, drastic reductions that India has made. How is this going to impact India per se?
Good evening, Megha. Good evening to my fellow panelists and NewsX viewers. If you understand the backdrop of this whole negotiation and signing of the deal, we all know the deal was more or less finalized on 6th of May. Prime Minister's visit is going to formally put a stamp on it, and the deal has already been formalized. Now, for the people who are curious to know that why is India slashing duties, why is why are stuff being imported into India at zero duty or near zero duty, as 99% of the goods are going to be almost be duty free for that matter. They have to understand that the two countries have a very long relationship apart from the colonial era. I think we've come a long way. This is the very country whom we overtook to become the 5th largest. We should not forget, UK is about $3.8 trillion. We are now ahead of Japan as well. We are now $4.2 trillion. So we are far ahead of you, left behind UK. So from the time you mentioned about 4 prime ministers, when the deal first started to get into negotiation stage, we should not forget that we were behind UK in terms of the size of the economy. And we have galloped. We have moved forward, and we are now far ahead of UK. So at this point of time, Megha, if you ask me, UK needs this deal more than India. Well, earlier the situation was other way around. India needed this deal more than UK. I think the tables have turned because of a flux of time that we've seen over the period. And today, UK needs it more eagerly. And this also, Megha, we should not forget, comes in the backdrop of what is happening in the US. The constant tariff threats which are coming from there. And we should also not forget that UK has already signed a deal with US. So that is another change which has happened from earlier. So I think the whole backdrop has changed from the time the negotiations started first. If you look at the products from India, I think it's a very interesting composition of products. We're looking at textiles, garment, and leather goods. That's the first category. We are looking at gems and jewelry. That's the second major category. I'm only talking on the major. We are looking at engineering goods. That's the third major category. And then comes the chemicals. So these are the 4 broad categories which India has been exporting. So I think today, if you look at the demand in UK, they need this stuff more than before. And we should also not forget, Megha, that their economy is barely growing. The latest GDP growth rate in UK is 1.3%. And we are growing at 6.5%, 7%. So there's a big difference between the growth rate of two countries. So in such a situation, it becomes difficult for a country to set up manufacturing units themselves and start producing the goods within the country. And with this deal happening, if it is zero duty on most of the goods, they are going to get it cheaper, which they badly need at this point of time. So that is the first thing we need to understand. Of course, in terms of imports, we are importing beverages. We are importing some electrical machinery from them. We do need that as well. But then I think the US aspect, Megha, we have to keep in mind, because UK has already signed a deal with US. It was amongst the first nations to have signed that deal. So I think the backdrop needs to be understood as to in what situation this whole negotiation is happening, Megha.
Right. Okay. All right. I'm also being joined by Keith Vaz, who's the former UK minister. He's joining me from London. Thank you, Mr. Vaz. And of course, what is the sentiment on the ground of Prime Minister Modi's visit? He's arriving later tonight in London. It's a 2-day visit. And of course, the highlight of this visit is the free trade agreement that is going to be formally signed between the two leaders.
Good morning from London. And I was going to say Narendra Modi has brought the Indian summer, but the clouds have now come across us here in London. Of course, the visit of the Indian Prime Minister is important, especially Narendra Modi, especially at this time. He's been 4 times before. I had the pleasure of welcoming him to Parliament when he came in 2015. He's had a good relationship with a number of different prime ministers. Of course, the free trade deal is the centerpiece, but there are other issues that need to be examined and discussed, and I hope he will take the opportunity of doing that. it is essential that that happens as quickly as possible. And this is an opportunity for him to meet Keir Starmer, because he hasn't really met him properly before in the United Kingdom. He's been to G20s before, but this is an opportunity for him. He's now, in my view, the leading statesman in the world. We talk about who is the leader of the free world. With all the problems that Donald Trump is having, I think that those of us in the UK who are fans of the UK-India relationship will see Narendra Modi in this new position. So your speakers are right. The balance has changed between this relationship, and it's something that Britain needs very much, more than India needs. And I think we're just all pleased that it's come to a solution and they can actually sign this document. But there are other issues to discuss. I hope they'll use the issue to discuss the issue of Indian students who are studying here. The British government has just curtailed from 2 years to 18 months post-study work. I hope they'll discuss what's going to happen next week, which is that Indian chefs will not be allowed to come to this country as a skilled category for the first time in my lifetime in public service. These are big, big issues that I hope we can also discuss, apart from the free trade agreement.
Okay, all right. Of course, there are going to be a number of issues, number of matters that are going to be on the list of Keir Starmer and Prime Minister Modi when they meet tomorrow. I'm also being joined at this time by Dr. Ajay Dua. Dr. Dua, when we talk about the deal that has been struck, a number of tariffs that have been reduced by India and markets that have been opened up by the United Kingdom for Indian goods and services. Pharma was perhaps a point that was conflicting, because there have been no discounts that have been given by India to the pharma industry in United Kingdom. One of the pressing points that has been isolated from the deal thus far. How do you view this?
Thank you, Megha, for having me on your show. I think the signing of the bilateral agreement tomorrow is certainly a landmark in our economic relationship with the United Kingdom. We've been the two together. We've been striving to have a FTA, or earlier called the CEPA, Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, for quite some time, including one Right Honorable Keith was the minister in the government earlier. I think what we are doing right now is to sign a low-hanging fruit, capturing kind of a bilateral agreement, which is a very good start to my mind, because it is talking about three things, and I'll be corrected by Right Honorable Vaz, on that. Number one, we are saying we wish to double our trade with the United Kingdom by 2030. It hasn't seen any striking increases in the recent past, and the aggregate is about 60 billion US, which can easily double up in five years' time. Second, UK has been considerate because it's agreed to lower duties on 99% of the items imported from India.
Yes.
Whereas what we have done is to have relented on 85% of the product lines, as we call it in the commerce business. The difference is because for us, the UK has agreed to respect our red lines, our red flags, those being on dairying product and certain agriculture products like apple, cheese, and certain fruits about which we all know. Third, the UK has also agreed that the reduction would take place over a 5-year time span. United Kingdom the government needs about 6 months' time to get the treaty ratified by its parliament before it can be given effect to. Our cabinet has approved it. That's why we are hoping that tomorrow our commerce minister would sign it in the presence of the prime ministers of the two countries.
Yes.
So we have agreed that with respect to IPR, which has been a subject of difference between us and the Western world for quite some time, that there will be a greater understanding between, all aspects of intellectual property regime. Once the document is in public domain, maybe we can talk about whether some of those things are they going to be very too onerous on India, because hitherto we had resisted a fair amount of impositions by the advanced world, if I might say, of which UK has been an integral part, about our IPR regime, which they had found a little too liberal and too relenting at times. Finally, the UK has also agreed that in order to make the Indian investors in the UK lighten their burden, that in the first 3 years of employment of the Indian workers who go from India to the UK to work in their outfits, they would not be required to pay the social security contribution, which is otherwise mandatory in the UK upon the employer for anybody he employs. So the contribution being made in India is adequate. There is no need to top it up during the first 3 years in the United.
Okay, all right, sir. I'm going to come back to you, Keithwas, and President Trump is also going to be visiting United Kingdom over the weekend. It is being touted that a deal that had been discussed and formalized during the G7 summit, and when President Trump and Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister of United Kingdom, came out together, and in that conversation with the press said that there is a deal that has been formalized, and there is going to be the formal signature signing that will take place, that is likely to take place when the President arrives in United Kingdom. Do you think there has been more importance imparted on the UK-India deal because of the mounting pressure of tariffs by the Trump administration, therefore perhaps even solidified India-UK trade relationship in this matter?
Yes, I think you got absolutely the right view on that. What Trump has done is he's created turmoil throughout the world concerning tariffs. He changes his mind every single day. He puts up the tariff levels, he reduces it, he sends the markets in a spin. So countries like Britain and India, who've been waiting a long time for deals of this kind, have just got on with it. Canada is supposed to be signing a new deal with the European Union. I think what Ajay has just said is absolutely right. This isn't the all singing and all dancing deal that everyone would have liked. This is something that is dealing with basic issues. And obviously, you grab what you can take. Trump's visit is private. He's not coming to Westminster. He's not addressing MPs. I think he's going to his golf course in Scotland, having a private meeting with the Prime Minister. Obviously, there'll be cameras there. They call them private meetings, but the rest of the world all knows what's happening. And then he's going to meet King Charles. Then he's coming back in September to sign this deal. So for the people, for ordinary people, this all sounds terrific. And for great news outlets like NewsX World and people like me, Ajay, and others, this is a great opportunity to comment. But at the end of the day, ordinary people need to see how is this going to affect the price of eggs? How are their lives going to be affected by those changes? I've recently come back from the US, and I tell you, prices really have gone up in the United States of America. So Donald Trump will have to address these issues as well. But you're right, this has given us an impetus. I'm not upset that he's done all this. I think it's very good. I remember when the EU tried to ban mangoes from entering the EU, and I and others, including Mr. Modi when he was Prime Minister, helped to try and get the mangoes back into the EU. That's because they were trying to get chocolate into India. So this kind of pettiness, hopefully, has come to an end with the signing of this deal. So Trump has played his part in a way that he wouldn't have imagined.
Absolutely. Sharad, quickly your response of news. What does India-UK trade future look like? Are we going to see more FDIs, more investments coming in from United Kingdom into India and vice versa?
Well, so long as the turmoil in the caused by US, as Vaz rightly mentioned, so long as I think Mr. Donald Trump is restless and he's right. He keeps changing deadlines. He keeps changing the tariff up, down, here and there. I think it's going to unite the rest of the world in a better way. So that's one fallout, or shall I say, an ancillary product of that whole storm which is happening. It's bringing the world together. And I think the countries which would never have probably agreed to this kind of a deal, although this was agreed in the month of May, but we should not forget that the tariffs were announced on 2nd of April. So this happened on 6th of May. So it would have taken longer for this kind of deal to be finalized. But now, thanks to Donald Trump, one of the good fallouts of what's happening is brought the countries together. They realize that probably US may or may not be a trade ally going forward. It's very, very uncertain. Things are absolutely unpredictable with him. So I think that has helped in bringing India and UK closer. We are probably riding the same ship because until now, trade was a natural evolution. Trade was happening out of demand and supply. Trade was happening about you make something nice, I make something cheaper, and so on and so forth. But here is a new paradigm to trade. You put a gun on my head, do the deal, else this. You do the deal, else this. Do it by this deadline, else this. So I think this new world order, shall I say, has probably put the rest of the world on one side and the US on the other side. I'm sure he's going to realize that sooner or later. So therefore, in this backdrop, I see, Megha, that India-UK trade relations are going to flourish. My only concern is that UK has to grow faster. I'm sure Vaz will realize what I'm saying. You're barely growing at about 1.5%.
Yeah.
You have to grow faster, and I'm sure Prime Minister Keir Starmer would also be desperately looking for ways and means to make sure that the salaries go up, the revenues goes up for company, the government's treasury collections go up, and so on and so forth. So I think the growth has to be propelled. The moment UK picks up on growth, you will find, Megha, this trade flourishing more than any time before, is all I have to say.
Okay. Do we still have Jayjeet on the telecast? Okay, we'll get back to Jayjeet. We're coming back to you, Dr. Dua. As was pointed out by Mr. Keith Vaz, it is also important at the same time for the two leaders to discuss issues relating to international students from India traveling to United Kingdom. Also, a more important issue on immigration that the US President Donald Trump has clamped down on. You take a look at Mexico and Canada under pressure, also performing in the same vein. United Kingdom has also cracked down on immigration. How does this impact India, and can there be ties between both the countries, diplomatic, trade, and culture to culture, people to people, that could resolve this very complicated, complex issue?
Megha, if you are asking me, I think every visit of the Prime Minister, head of a government, gives an opportunity for discussing a variety of matters which might be global in nature or might have bilateral impact. So apart from being witnesses to the signing of the trade deal between the two ministers, the Prime Ministers will certainly have an opportunity to talk about what is happening across the globe and what can be done to sort out the bilateral issues which remain amongst them. And at any point of time, there would be always half a dozen to a dozen issues which we have to settle or come to an understanding. Right Honorable Vaz mentioned about the student issue, which is an extremely important one. How long can they remain in the UK after they have graduated? It has come down from an earlier 2 years to 18 months, and whether there is I think there is some pressure on the UK government to further shorten it. I would call it the effect of the United States of what Mr. Trump is doing to the foreign students. Probably a little bit has also affected the United Kingdom authorities. Second, they need to worry also about a lot of extradition of Indian people who are fugitives from Indian law, apart from the two Modis and Choksis and all the kind of other people who've been using the UK to get away from the Indian law. The Foreign Secretary yesterday, the Indian Foreign Secretary yesterday did point this out when Vikram Misri was talking to the press. He did say that this is one of the issues which we would like to sort out with the government of UK.
Right.
I would finally say that what is important is that for a while, India and the UK have not had the best of relationship. Now that you have a Labour government in power, and Labour government is known to be a little more pro-India, and we've got our leaders in the past have got along very well, that we would see the old warmth and hospitality, mutual hospitality return, so that there are many more opportunities to sort out the issues of what is irking one another.
Okay.
Don't
Yes,
get
sir.
resolved.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Of course, there are going to be some prickly thorns that, issues that would have to be ironed out, but this is like an ongoing process, as we said. I'm out of time. I thank all of you for joining me on the telecast, sharing your views. Meanwhile, let's take a look at this breaking development. The Ministry of External Affairs of India has now responded to the reports of wrong bodies being handed over to the relatives of the victims of the Air India 171 crash. The official spokesperson of the Ministry of External Affairs, Randeep Jaiswal, has refuted these claims. He said that they have seen this report and have been working closely with the UK side from the moment these concerns and issues were brought to India's attention. In wake of the tragic crash, the concerned authorities had carried out identification of victims as per established protocols and technical requirements. All mortal remains were handled with the most professional attitude and with due regard for the dignity of the deceased. He further said that India continues to work with the UK authorities on addressing any concerns related to this issue. Ajay Wadhwan on the telecast with me. Ajay, what more information can you share with us on this?
Well, absolutely, Megha. If you see, the Ministry of External Affairs has, clarified from its side that, they have, handed the bodies with utmost the mortal remains of all the deceased UK citizens who died on the in the crash involving the AI 171 Air India flight, And, this clarification comes at a point, when Prime Minister Narendra Modi has departed for UK, where he will hold talks with UK British Prime Minister Keir Starmer and Prince Charles. So, at this juncture, this defines, how beautifully the diplomatic relations have existed between India and UK, and they have been long partners. And in the times to come, we can expect further smoothing of the diplomatic relations between India and UK in the times to come. Yes, Megha.
Yes, absolutely. Aditya, stay on with me. There's more information pouring in. This is with regards to the racial attack on an Indian in Ireland. A 40-year-old Indian man who was living in Ireland was attacked by a right-wing gang in Dublin and was admitted to the hospital with severe injuries. Following this, the Embassy of India in Ireland had reached out to the Irish authorities and the civil society. The Indian Embassy noted that regarding the recent incident of physical attack on an Indian national happened in Talgate in Dublin, the embassy is in touch with the victim and his family as well. All the requisite assistance is being offered to the family. The embassy is also in touch with the relevant Irish authorities in this regard, is what the Indian embassy in Ireland has responded with. Ajay, back on the telecast with me. Ajay, a tragic incident that has taken place. There has been a racial attack on an Indian national in Dublin. There has been a statement that has been released by the Indian Embassy in Ireland. All support help is being provided to the family members, to the victim. Has there been any statement that has been released by the Ireland authorities on this?
Well, as far as this attack on the Indian citizen is concerned, the Indian Embassy in Ireland will, issue a statement with regard to this. Has issued a statement with regards to this. An Indian citizen in his 40s was violently assaulted and partially stripped by a group of attackers in Dublin. And, it is a matter of concern that such an incident has happened in Ireland, because, it is a fact that that there exists excellent diplomatic relations between India and Ireland. And after he was attacked, this man who is in his 40s was hospitalized following what has been dubbed as mindless racist violence in a suburb of the Irish capital of Dublin. So according to the local reports, the victim had arrived in Ireland a few weeks ago when he was targeted in an assault at Park Hill Road in Talagat on July 19th evening. The Gardaí, as the police are known in Ireland, have opened an investigation into that case. The Indian ambassador to Ireland, Akhilesh Mishra, was among those who took to social media to express his shock over the attack and also questioned some of the Irish media coverage of the violent assault. Yes, Megha.
All right. Thank you, Aditya, for giving us an update on that. On that note, I slip into a short break. Thanks for watching NewsX.
The Uttar Pradesh government, led by Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath, is powering the future by creating thousands of new jobs for our youth. By providing government jobs and supporting self-employment ventures, it is making sure that every young dream finds a path to success.
पारदर्शी भर्ती ने उत्तर प्रदेश के नौजवान को उत्तर प्रदेश के विकास के लिए समर्पित कर दिया है.
In the past 8 years, 8.5 lakh young adults secured government jobs. Of this, 95,000 jobs were provided by the UP Public Service Commission and 2,16,000 new appointments were made in the police department. Entrepreneurs are being provided interest-free loans to the tune of 5 lakh rupees. Infrastructure support and innovative skill development programs have resulted in 2 crore jobs across 96 lakh MSME units. The Yogi Adityanath-led government is scripting new success stories and realizing the vision of a developed India.
अगर आप बनना चाहते हैं एंकर या फिर आप में है जुनून एक तेज तर्रार न्यूज रिपोर्टर बनने का, तो आप ज्वाइन.
Under the leadership of Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath, Uttar Pradesh is playing an important role in making India self-reliant. Gautam Budh Nagar is shaping up to become a global semiconductor hub.
आज उत्तर प्रदेश डाटा सेंटर के एक बड़े हब के रूप में स्थापित हुआ है.
India's 6th semiconductor plant is going to be built on 48 acres of land in Noida. A chip manufacturing unit is being set up with an investment of rupees 3,700 crores. This plant will manufacture display driver chips for mobile phones, laptops, cars, PCs, medical equipment and a myriad of other devices. 20,000 wafers and 36 million units will be produced per month. The plant is expected to create more than 4,000 direct jobs. Hospitality, transport and service industries will benefit at the local level. As India moves forward in its journey to develop this strategically vital industry, Uttar Pradesh is emerging as a future semiconductor hub.
Hello and welcome. You're watching NewsX and I'm Megha Sharma. Let's take a look at this breaking development. There has been a shocking discovery in the city of Bengaluru. There were 6 gelatin sticks and some detonators that were found in a carry bag outside the toilet inside a bus stand. The police and the bomb squad are at their side. This is a developing story. We're tracking it for you. This is the latest information. Visuals on your screens of these gelatin sticks that have been recovered from the bus stand. Belly Thomas on the telecast with me. Belly, when did the police discover that there were these gelatin sticks and other bomb material discovered from this bus stand in Bengaluru? All right, so that's the development. Investigation right now is underway in that matter. India's foreign trade landscape is evolving rapidly, which is driven by the free trade agreement negotiations and revisions to existing trade treaties with key global markets. As of 2025, India is in talks with major partners including United States, European Union and a number of ASEAN nations, while also exploring new agreements with Africa Latin America and Arab Gulf. As of 2025, India has 13 active free trade agreements and several ongoing negotiations aimed at strengthening bilateral and regional trade partnerships. Additionally, India is re-evaluating its investment treaties and preferential trade agreements to align with contemporary economic realities, ensuring a balanced approach between global investor protection and national interests. In the backdrop of the India and United Kingdom signing a free trade agreement, which both the nations have been negotiating for years together, let's take a look at the recent trade agreements signed by India. In 2024, India deepened its trade ties with two major blocs. A preferential trade agreement with Mercosur, the South Asian American bloc, offered 10 to 100% tariff concessions on 450 lines, with exports totaling over $8.1 billion. In the same year, India also signed a trade and economic partnership agreement with EFTA, unlocking a $100 billion investment commitment over 15 years from the European Free Trade Group. Back in 2022, India inked two crucial deals, one with Australia offering zero tariffs on 96% of Indian exports, and another with the UAE, which removed tariffs on 99% of Indian goods, both boosting exports to a robust $35.6 billion. And in 2021, India signed a comprehensive economic partnership with Mauritius, granting preferential access to 310 Indian export items, with exports valued at $778 million. These trade pacts are part of India's larger strategy to boost export competitiveness and attract foreign investments. Let's open up this discussion. Joining me on the telecast is Ambassador Suresh Goyal. Ambassador, in the backdrop of Prime Minister Modi travelling to United Kingdom and signing that all-important free trade agreement with United Kingdom, we also discuss the number of comprehensive strategic partnership deals, a number of preferential trade agreements, a number of free trade agreements that India has signed with a number of countries, whether it is the ASEAN nations in the subcontinent, with the South American countries, United Kingdom, European Union. Are we inching closer towards building a comprehensive, more cooperative environment with other world leaders in a bid to further develop our economy? And are we moving fast enough in doing so?
Megha, I think your question has so many things in that one sentence that I really do not know where to begin and what to say and what to address here. First of all, you talked about comprehensive partnership, it's a strategic partnership. You talked about economic agreements, EFTA, etc. You talked about investment agreements, bilateral investment agreements, trade agreements. Now, these are all very, very different agreements. All of them are very different. A strategic partnership agreement does not have, I mean, I'm not saying that it does not always have, but it is not really addressing the economic issues. They mostly address the strategic political issues, cooperation in terms of security, etc., etc. A free trade agreement that we are talking about really here, and for which Prime Minister Modi is in London, a free trade agreement is basically to talk about promoting trade on the basis of offering, and it's not free really. Free is a misnomer. It's a trade agreement between two countries or two blocs, essentially offering bilateral trade concessions, reduced tariffs or no tariffs on certain lines, depending upon where your interests are. And they are therefore not free in terms of the tariffs, but they are not even free in terms of what they actually achieve. For example, in the case of India and the UK, the agricultural trade has been and remains really the major issue of contention. Both UK and India have to protect their agricultural sector. For India, it is food security. For UK, it is their liquor industry. Johnny Walker Black Label, which is consumed so much in India that Scotland doesn't even produce that quantities. So everybody has different objectives. Auto sector. Therefore, when we talk about the trade agreement, it is in terms of identification of those lines by the governments mostly in this case, and hopefully the lines on which the trade bodies, the chambers of commerce, the industry agrees. And very often there is a gap between what the industry wants and what the government is able to get them really. So in this case also India and UK, I'm afraid I do not think that the trade agreement that we are signing is really a free trade agreement, that it is offering tariffs at the kind of a thing that suits our industry. But we are signing the trade agreement because there are several politically persuasive points, leverages, which are working. And we do hope that by signing this trade agreement with the UK, we will be able to convey a message to both the European Union and the USA that if we want a trade agreement, we want it to be balanced, we want it to be in our interest, and we want it to be basically benefit both the sides. Hopefully, that will take pressure off our backs in both the areas. I know that I have not been specific enough, but there is nothing specific that we can talk about in these cases. The lines are known to the industry, they will work on those things. I'll give you an example of India-ASEAN free trade agreement that we signed. That agreement became a source, became a conduit for China to dump its goods into India through ASEAN. Now, if that is what we want, at the same time, the issue is our own trade, our own industry. Are they competitive enough? Our labor sector is so highly biased that the cost of production because of the labor sector is not in our favor. So what do? I am bringing in all these issues, Megha, because what I want to say is even the trade specialists scratch their heads when they talk about these kind of FTAs behind closed doors. They do not know what to say, what to work on. And therefore, to debate India-UK free trade agreement becomes even more complex as far as I'm concerned. Megha.
Right. All right. Those are interesting points. Let's try to dissect them further. Yogendra Kapoor is also on the telecast. So is Sharad Kohli. Sharad Kohli, coming to you about how India needs to divest itself when dealing with world economies, when dealing with various countries in different continents, and how do we get the best of all worlds in signing these trade deals, these comprehensive deals, preferential agreements. Several of these conversations, communication that is at various levels, and how can two countries be mutually benefiting from the deals and the agreements that then become the norm in the coming years?
Good evening, Megha. Good evening to my fellow panelists and NewsX viewers. I think the slogan which goes to answer your question in 2 words is India first. I think this new India now looks after its interests first. Whenever we sit down to sign a deal with any part of the world, in fact, the deal with the US is in the limbo because US wants a free entry of agri and dairy, and which we definitely cannot allow. So this India prior to 2014, I'm sorry if I'm sounding political, so be it. I don't care because there is a difference. If there is a date which matches with a certain political establishment, then so be the case. Well, prior to 2014, this is how we used to be. Sir, whatever you say. By the way, the meaning of sir is slave, I remain. That's what sir means, SIR. So we were dealing with other countries with folded hands. Whatever you say, sir, we agree. But I'm glad that ever after this government came, the whole stance has changed now. We know our structure of economy. We cannot allow goods which harm our economy. For example, agriculture. For example, dairy. A classic example is they wanted us to import fodder which had meat. They wanted our cattle to be served meat. We cannot allow that. They wanted us to, when I say they, I meant the US. Let me not mince around the words. They wanted genetically modified crops. We cannot allow. So I think the motto and the slogan of negotiations of this new India is we will keep our country first. And the biggest slogan of them all, Megha, is that today the world needs India more than India needs the world. In the last 11 years, that's a paradigm shift which has taken place. We used to need the world at all times. Today, from defense to agri, we've become food sufficient. We are perfectly secure vis-a-vis food. We don't need anybody's help. But there are countries in the so-called, I'm putting in inverted commas, in the so-called developed world, today they need us more than that. So as far as India and UK are concerned, I think UK has. I'm glad it will have to step out of the colonial past. If the deal is being, if the negotiations of the deal is being happening with a colonial background, nothing is going to work out. We have left UK behind. They were the 5th largest. We overtook them ages ago. We are now the 4th largest. We are growing faster. We are growing at 7%. They are barely growing. So I think the deal and negotiations are happening in that backdrop. And when it comes to textiles, when it comes to leather, when it comes to chemicals, when it comes to engineering goods, when it comes to garments, apparels, I think we have a lot. And the target between India and UK by 2030 is 120 billion. This categorically shows that UK as of today, I'm not sounding negative, please don't get me wrong, but UK as of today is not witnessing new investments coming. When I say new investments, I mean capital investments. When in that scenario, when your 70 million population needs goods, where does it get from? The only choice is you import from countries who can supply to you cheaper. I think that is the only way. So which is why I say UK needs India more than India needs UK. So in that backdrop, the deal would be happening. We have crossed $825 billion of exports. And besides this, Megha, with 20 million, 2 million population of Indian origin over there, I think if you see the rich list of UK today, you will find so many people of Indian origin over there. And we should not forget that a lot of rich people over the last 2 years have left UK. So UK basically is draining itself out in that scenario. And keeping in mind the storm caused by US, I think this deal becomes absolutely imperative for both India and UK. I think, as I said earlier, I would like to reiterate, Megha, just allow me to say, US has brought rest of the world together in expediting such deals quicker than they would have happened otherwise, Megha.
Okay, Professor Madan Nalapat is also on the telecast with me. Professor Nalapat, now, when we are signing these trade deals, it also becomes India to become a manufacturing hub, because here we take a look at what is India offering to the world, to the United Kingdom, to the ASEAN nations. I mean, it's besides textiles and garments and gems and jewelry, we seem to have little to offer. Meanwhile, we have been importing automobiles and alcohol and cosmetic brands and so on and so forth. So where should India be working aggressively to build a portfolio that is going to be attractive enough for countries to import those goods and services that are costly, that are actually going to bring large amounts of revenues into the government exchequer?
Well, Megha, I'd like to take over from where Sharat left off, and I fully agree with his points. The fact is that the India-UK FTA, when it gets signed, it will be a lesson to the US, because the US is demanding everything to be one way, the US way, and nothing India's way, which is not possible. I mean, the colonial mentality seems to have shifted from London to Washington, and I'm surprised about that, and I'm very glad we are resisting that. We are holding, and in fact, a delegation of the US trade negotiations is supposed to come this month, but we have politely told them the differences are too wide for it to be bridged, so please make it in August, and by that time, let's resolve our differences. We have to protect our farmers, we have to protect our consumers. Genetically modified food can frankly be very dangerous. So all this situation is there. But now what we need to concentrate on, Megha, and I'm happy to say the government is now doing, especially in Modi 3.0, is to ensure that domestic and foreign investment comes in a big way. and to ensure that we have Make in India and Make by India. Make in India is very important because over the decade after decade, we have had huge trade deficits. And as Sharath said, our trade is now rising finally. I think very hard-nosed FTAs are needed. The India-ASEAN FTA, as has correctly been pointed out, was a very one-sided FTA, and there's no point in trying to get points by signing concessions, because we saw from our own experience, the more concessions you give, the more is demanded and the less you get in return. So the reality is to be hard-nosed, and I think now what's important is to ensure that Indian entrepreneurs are able to build in India, make in India, and you have we can have an array of component parts, etc., made in India. You should get international majors to invest in India in building their, say, aircraft or cars or whatever you want, manufacturing, so that our skilled labor can be put to use. And what we have, Mega, in abundant strength, is the Indian worker. And may I say that the Indian worker is second to none when he's given a certain amount of training. And on-the-job training is all he needs. Given that on-the-job training, he can be the best in the world and also be very cost-effective. So I think, Mega, the sky is the limit. In fact, the sky is not the limit. With our space station and all that, we have gone way beyond that. The reality is, what's important now is to concentrate on Make in India and more Make by India.
Okay. Yogendra Kapoor is also on the show with me. Yogendra Kapoor, also at this point where the US administration led by President Donald Trump is adopting a more protectionist policy when it comes to trade, how are other nations going to react to it? Because, countries like South Korea and Japan and Philippines, both of which have signed a deal just a few hours ago. Again, India at this point of time, moderately dependent, if I don't say hugely dependent, on that very important free trade, bilateral trade agreement with the United States of America. Here there is immense dependency on one nation. Meanwhile, a number of these deals at various levels being signed and then taken forward by the Commerce Ministry from different parts of the world. How do we build an equilibrium? And also, again, this contradiction, while being self-reliant, also working with the world to be in a mutually symbiotic relationship.
Right, Megha. I would like to start with that, the signing of the FTA or the economic cooperation agreements with various countries other than the United States is a step in the right direction. But I think the major challenge before India is the implementation part, because it remains the key. I mean, you cannot have agreements in place and at the same time, they are not seen to be moving forward. I'll give an example. In case of India-Australia agreement, it was signed in 2021, but in terms of implementation, it stands at the very place where it started from. So I think it's very important that whatever India may be doing in its best interest, it needs to translate also in numbers. Now, point is that we may be going up the ladder in terms of becoming the fourth largest economy. But if we look at our contribution towards world GDP, I would say that it is so minuscule that it remains below 3%, and it has been like that for years. So the point is that the government and industry, they need to be in sync. They need to see where the things are not moving on ground, because at the end of the day, I think the entire world also sees that is the private investment in its own country increasing on a arithmetic progression or geometric progression basis, which is not taking place in our country. So the point is when we look at foreign investment coming into India, they also see that are we having the right framework wherein, the capital is allowed to be able to grow, the legal system, the framework is such that it allows you to do the business freely. The point is that we are at the threshold where basically the things are not moving the way they should be. And I feel that going forward, it's very important whether it is the ease of doing business or the cost of doing business. These are important parameters that need to be looked into by the government and industry.
Okay. All right. I'm completely out of time. I thank all of you for joining me on the telecast, sharing your views. On that note, I slip into a short break. Thanks for watching NewsX.
यशस्वी प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के संकल्प सबका साथ सबका विकास को माननीय मुख्यमंत्री योगी आदित्यनाथ जी ने सामाजिक एकता एवं समरसता के उच्चतम मानदंडों के साथ बनाया है यूपी सरकार का मूल मंत्र। परिणाम स्वरूप 2017 के बाद उत्तर प्रदेश में सभी को मिले बिना किसी भेदभाव के रोजगार के समान अवसर एवं योजनाओं के लाभ। 8.5 लाख से अधिक सरकारी और 3,75,000 से अधिक संविदा पर नौकरी पाने वाले जहां निष्पक्ष और पारदर्शी प्रक्रिया के साक्षी बने, वहीं अनुसूचित जाति, जनजाति, पिछड़े एवं निम्न आय वर्ग के अभ्यर्थियों को मिला आरक्षण का संपूर्ण लाभ। प्रधानमंत्री गरीब कल्याण अन्न योजना, प्रधानमंत्री आवास योजना और जल जीवन मिशन से लेकर मुख्यमंत्री युवा स्वरोजगार और एक जनपद एक उत्पाद जैसी विभिन्न योजनाएं यूपी में अंत्योदय से सर्वोदय का सपना कर रही हैं साकार। काम दमदार, डबल इंजन सरकार।
अगर आप बनना चाहते हैं एंकर या फिर आप में है जुनून एक तेज तर्रार न्यूज रिपोर्टर बनने का, तो आप ज्वाइन करें ITV और इंडिया NewsX का मीडिया स्कूल। ITV नेक्स्ट मीडिया इंटरनेशनल स्कूल का कोर्स आपको मौका देता है देश के दिग्गज एंकर्स के साथ काम करने का। ITV नेक्स्ट मीडिया इंटरनेशनल स्कूल में आप बेहद नजदीकी से देख पाएंगे किस तरह से ITV नेटवर्क के दिग्गज पत्रकारों की टीम दिन रात खबरों पर काम करती है। इस कोर्स के दौरान आप सीखेंगे एंकरिंग की एक एक बारीकी उन एंकर्स के साथ जो देश को रखते हैं हर खबर से बाखबर। ITV नेक्स्ट मीडिया इंटरनेशनल स्कूल का ये कोर्स आपके एंकरिंग स्किल्स को करेगा इतना सशक्त, मजबूत, जिससे आप बनेंगे पत्रकारिता की दुनिया का वो चमकता चेहरा जो दुनिया देखेगी और पसंद करेगी।
नवाचारी और नवोन्मेषी शिक्षा व्यवस्था से युवाओं की आशाओं को नई उड़ान दे रहा है नया उत्तर प्रदेश। ग्रामीण परिवेश हो या फिर नगरीय क्षेत्र, गुणवत्ता युक्त शिक्षा बनी है नए उत्तर प्रदेश की पहचान। स्कूल चलो अभियान और शारदा प्रोग्राम जैसे अभिनव प्रयासों से ड्रॉप आउट दर में आई है उल्लेखनीय गिरावट। ऑपरेशन कायाकल्प और टैबलेट वितरण जैसे कदमों से डिजिटल शिक्षा को मिले हैं नए आयाम। बेसिक शिक्षा से हायर एजुकेशन तक शिक्षा में उठाए गए अभूतपूर्व कदमों से हुआ है एजुकेशन का ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन। अंत्योदय और बिना किसी भेदभाव के सबको समान शिक्षा का अधिकार बना है युवाओं के उज्जवल भविष्य का आधार। वर्ष 2017 के बाद डबल इंजन सरकार के अभिनव प्रयासों ने नए उत्तर प्रदेश की शिक्षा व्यवस्था में किया है युगांतकारी ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन। समान शिक्षा का अधिकार, डबल इंजन सरकार।
आज नक्सलवाद भी भारत में अपनी अंतिम सांसें गिन रहा है।
मैं सबसे पहले एक बात इस सदन में जिम्मेदारी के साथ बताना चाहता हूं, 21 मार्च 2026 को इस देश से नक्सलवाद समाप्त।
Hello and welcome. You're watching NewsX and I'm Megha Sharma. There is a breaking development. We'll shift our focus to that. The Gujarat ATS has arrested 4 terrorists with links to Al-Qaeda in the Indian subcontinent. On this, the ATS DIG Sunil Joshi has said that they were going to execute a terror activity and are associated with a banned terrorist organization. They have been in contact with an ISIS handler on Abu's instruction. This ISIS handler that the ATS chief is talking about, these terrorists came to India to carry out terrorist activity. They have recovered ISIS flag from the place where they also recovered arms and ammunition. The officials have now detained these suspects from the airport. A detailed process conference will be held. Jatin Rawal is on the telecast with me. Jatin, what more information can you give us?
जी देखिए, बिल्कुल आपको बता दूं, गुजरात एटीएस को अब तक जो है वो बड़ी सफलता मिली, क्योंकि अलकायदा के जो मॉड्यूल को पकड़ने का जो है वो गुजरात एटीएस ने जो है वो दावा किया है। गुजरात एटीएस ने अलकायदा के कुल 4 आतंकवादियों को अब तक जो है वो गिरफ्तार किया है, जिसमें से 2 आतंकवादी गुजरात से पकड़े गए, जबकि एक दिल्ली से और एक नोएडा से गिरफ्तार जो है वो किया गया है। बात ऐसी सामने आई कि ये जो 4 आतंकवादी थे, ये आम लोगों को सोशल मीडिया, अलकायदा का जो सोशल मीडिया है उसमें वो ये लोग जो है वो जोड़ने का काम जो है वो ये लोग जो है वो करते थे। जो सबसे पहला जो बंदा है वो मोहम्मद फाइक है, एक मोहम्मद फरदीन है, एक सैफुल्लाह कुरैशी है और एक जीफान अली है। इन चारों आतंकवादियों को गुजरात एटीएस ने जो है वो पकड़ा है और अभी भी गुजरात एटीएस की जांच जारी है कि जिस तरह कितने ये लोग जो है वो अलकायदा के कितने सोशल मीडिया से जुड़े हुए थे और उन सोशल मीडिया में अभी गुजरात के या तो देश के और कितने लोग जो है वो अभी भी जुड़े हुए हैं और लोगों को जोड़ने का काम, अलकायदा के ग्रुप में जोड़ने का काम कर रहे हैं। इस पूरी जांच में गुजरात एटीएस जो है वो अभी लगी हुई है। जी,
all right, thank you for giving us that update. The Chief Justice of India, B.R. Gawai, has said that he will be constituting a bench for hearing a petition filed on behalf of the Allahabad High Court Judge Justice Verma, challenging the in-house inquiry procedure and then Chief Justice Sanjeev Khanna's recommendations to the President and the Prime Minister to remove the judge from office. Senior advocate Kapil Sibal, on behalf of Yashwant Verma, mentioned the matter before the bench led by Chief Justice Gawai for urgent hearing. The CJI said that since he was part of the decision to transfer Yashwant Verma, it would not be proper for him to hear it, and thus a 3-judge bench was to be formed. Remember, these developments come just a day after a total of 145 members of parliament in Lok Sabha and 63 members of parliament in Rajya Sabha submitted a petition regarding the impeachment of Justice Verma in connection with the cash discovery row. If there is prima facie case that funds are unaccounted for in removing the judge, the first or the last step. Let's start off our conversation. Joining me on the telecast is Advocate Aman Lekhi. He is the former Additional Solicitor General. Thank you, Advocate Lekhi, for joining me. And my first question to you about the developments. How do you view, first of all, the petition in court, the 3-judge bench that has been constituted by the Chief Justice of India, and at the same time, parallelly, things that are happening in the parliament? There has been quite a commotion that has been built on the impeachment motion that is being sought by members of parliament in Rajya Sabha and in Lok Sabha as well.
Well, this petition is utterly misconceived. It doesn't lie. Insofar as the process is concerned, the process is constitutionally sanctioned, followed by, accompanied by the Judges Inquiry Act. So what is necessary is that the initiation of the process, acceptance by the Speaker or the Chairman, in this case the Joint Committee, and thereafter the Inquiry Committee. Whatever I read the newspaper, this petition challenges the opinion, the recommendation of the former Chief Justice insofar as impeachment is concerned. Now, that is not in any way integral to the impeachment process. The impeachment process will stand or fall on the basis of a substantive procedural requirements that it has necessary to follow. And the problems otherwise in the in-house procedure will have absolutely no bearing on this particular process. Even insofar as the submissions made by the learned judge is concerned, insofar as the merits of the matter is concerned, that is reversal of the onus, etc., that in my opinion doesn't really take his case any far. As far as the in-house procedure is concerned, it's more or less like a screening committee. It just justifies the initiation of the impeachment process. The impeachment process has the first step of the impeachment process, as far as submission is by the parliamentarians is concerned, has started. It depends upon it's been accepted, whereafter the judge inquiry committee will take over. So whatever has happened, the in-house procedure will, in my opinion, really have very little bearing on the outcome of the impeachment process.
Okay, now what are going to be the next steps when we talk about the in-house inquiry and then an impeachment process that you said is going to be started in the parliament? What is going to be the end goal? Is this the final step, or if proven guilty, Justice Verma is also going to be charged on a criminal case against him for the corruption charge that has been leveled against him?
I couldn't follow the question. This is an impeachment process. As the criminal proceedings are concerned, they are completely different. It's got nothing to do with the criminal proceedings. That has a different regimen altogether. Insofar as this process is concerned, the process commences with the submission of a notice of motion. The notice of motion has to be of a prescribed number of MPs, depending upon whether it's the Rajya Sabha or Lok Sabha. Thereafter, it is admitted. On its being admitted, an inquiry committee is constituted. The inquiry committee then submits a report. The report is debated, and on the basis of whatever the recommendation finding, if the requisite majority passes it, then the judge is impeached. That is the process which is there. The next step would be, insofar as the admission of the process is concerned and constitution, should it be admitted of the inquiry committee in terms of Judges Inquiry Act.
Okay, all right. And talking about this furor that has been created, where the former chairman of Rajya Sabha has accepted the submission of the 63 members of parliament in Rajya Sabha. Even before Om Birla, the speaker of the Lok Sabha, could accept the 145 of those in notices that had been filed by the members of parliament seeking the impeachment of Justice Verma. What is your view on all this that has been going on? Do you think this is just a political slugfest that we see, with one political party trying to take responsibility and try to take credit for this whole situation?
Well, the law contemplates the motion can be moved in both houses. It's not unusual that it's moved only in one. It can be moved simultaneously on the same day in two houses. The only condition thereafter is it's moved simultaneously. In that event, the chairman and the speaker will jointly constitute the committee which has to inquire. So insofar as any prioritization is concerned, that is not something which is legally relevant. Insofar as optics is concerned, perhaps it may have certain significance, but law itself contemplates a situation where there will be simultaneously in both houses separate notices of motion and contemplates a procedure to deal with it, and that will necessarily follow the mandate of the law, and that is the committee to be eventually constituted will be jointly constituted by the speaker and the chairman. That's all the law contemplates. So I really don't know what has happened with the vice president. Everything is in the realm of speculation. It's not for us to in any way guess what has happened. That is for whatever information will come later on. And so the impeachment process is concerned, it can be filed in the Rajya Sabha. It can also be filed on the same day in the Lok Sabha. And if that happens, then as far as the committee is concerned, it will be jointly constituted. That's the law.
Okay, absolutely. And talking about the petition that has been filed by Judge Yashwant Verma in the Supreme Court, what are the clauses on which he is arguing his case?
I don't know what clauses he's arguing. Whatever I know is whatever is in the public domain. Whatever I have read, because I haven't seen the petition, whatever I have read is he's saying reversing of the onus of proof and a procedural impropriety in the process, and he's asked for quashing of the recommendation of impeachment. I personally feel it's legally misconceived. Insofar as the grounds are concerned, the grounds are untenable. Reversal of onus of proof in any case is not something which is unheard of in law. In this particular case, when money is found in a person's house, the onus to explain is there. As far as the committee is concerned, this is a summary inquiry. This is not a judicial inquiry in the traditional sense to have all the norms of due process incorporated in it. as long as there is a due method which has been followed for opinion, which is prima facie made out. Insofar as the recommendation is concerned, the recommendation is unexceptionable. And that said, as I said in the beginning, as far as the impeachment process is concerned, the impeachment process is absolutely independent. And if the MPs, the requisite number of MPs make the recommendation and thereafter it is accepted by the Speaker, the Chairman, then the law kicks in,
Right.
whatever the recommendation otherwise the Chief Justice.
Right, absolutely. And talking about, in the history of Indian law, if the Indian judiciary, has there been a case similar to this that has come to the fore where an impeachment of judge has happened after parliamentary decision being taken on the same matter?
Impeachment after parliamentary decision, I don't follow. The impeachment will always be on
a motion that has been passed in the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha for the impeachment of a judge. Has a similar case happened in the past in the history of law in our country?
No, as far as this particular case is concerned, it's in some way unique in the sense it is putting into sharp focus the in-house procedure mechanism and has raised issues as to what method has to be adopted by the in-house committee and how it has to be adjusted to the impeachment process. And apart from looking into the procedural infractions the judge is saying has actually happened in it. So in the issues which are raised here, it's not as if the first time an in-house committee has come before the court. There have been instances of it has come, but the issues raised here are in many ways distinct.
Okay. All right. And why is it that there is so much commotion over the charges that have been leveled against Justice Verma? This is a case that has been going on for months together.
Why should there not be commotion? This is if something of this magnitude comes into public domain, and as far as accountability is concerned, it kicks in. And notwithstanding the importance of the integrity of the judicial process, as far as accountability and transparency is concerned, are equally relevant. And questions are raised which require answers, and those answers are in a system which in some way has been devised to deal with this particular this particular aspect, and we are all engaged in it in the manner in which we should. So this is something which should be there in a healthy democracy, in which you raise questions, demand answers, enforce accountability, and then adopt the requisite legal procedures for the purposes of fixing responsibility should there be any infraction which has been identified and judicially or constitutionally legally proved.
All right, thank you, Advocate Leghi, for joining us and sharing your views. Joining me also on the telecast right now is Advocate Ashwini Dubey. Advocate Dubey, the question that arises is about whether our judges and our lawyers are above law, are above being questioned and interrogated and charges being leveled against them. How do you view the current scenario and the proceedings taking place in the Parliament and right now the petition that is in the Supreme Court?
See, Megha, filing a petition at Supreme Court, there is no embargo. Petition can be filed, but ultimately what would be the result of that? That's the question. See, Justice Verma had challenged the recommendation made by the former Chief Justice of India, Justice Sanjeev Khanna, to the President and the Prime Minister to initiate impeachment proceedings. So one of the ground which I have taken, that he said that the in-house inquiry committee made the findings without giving a fair opportunity to respond. And further, that the committee proceeded in a predetermined fashion and even without finding any concrete evidence, clearly drew adverse inferences against him after reversing burden of proof. And committee failed to notify any of its devised procedure, denied him any opportunity to provide inputs on the evidence to be collected, examine witnesses in his absence, and provided him with the paraphrased statement instead of video recordings despite availability, selectively disclosed only incriminating material, ignored and failed to collect relevant and explanatory evidence like. So now Megha, one question herein is, once the impeachment proceedings have been initiated in the Parliament, the requisite numbers, like 152 MPs submitted a signed memorandum to Lok Sabha Speaker, and then 52 or 50 to the Rajya Sabha, then Vice President Jagdeep. And now, in-house, if you see more than 200 members of Parliament, Lok Sabha, they are supporting this move. So in that situation, if impeachment comes to the place and there are members present in the voting, there are members present in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, if they pass in majority and that goes to the President, then impeachment is done and he is removed. Because why required, Megha, in order to unearth, in order to reveal whose cash was this, What was the reason behind? What thing? Who were the other associates who are involved into it? Because it is not only Justice Yashwant Verma. There may be many others also who has given this money. Where from the money came.
But then has there been in the history of our judiciary, and the same question I was asking from Advocate Lekhi as well, in the history of Indian law, is this an unprecedented case, or can we take examples of previous cases to come to a logical conclusion of what might happen in the case?
Previous, you see, Justice V. Ramaswamy, he resigned when the impeachment motion was passed. Then Justice Soumitra Sen in 2011 moment motion was passed, he also resigned. So here, if we see that a removal by passing an impeachment by both the houses of parliament and the president's notification, they resigned before that. Here, Justice Yashwant Verma had yet not resigned. So here the situation would be a little bit difficult. If he does not resign, even the impeachment motion is passed by both the houses and president takes a decision, then it would be a different case altogether of Justice Yashwant Verma.
That's what I'm saying. Does the investigation into the matter and the hearing of the case and a joint committee being formed to further find out what actually happened during the after the impeachment motion has been passed, again an individual, and in this case Justice Verma, once the impeachment is established, does that judge resign and that's the end of it, or are there going to be is there going to be a criminal procedure again lodged against him after he is impeached?
No, obviously, the immunity will only remain till the time he is on the post. Once the impeachment is successful, then he would be an ordinary citizen. Once he is an ordinary citizen, there will be no constitutional immunity. If there is no immunity, then of course there would be the detailed investigation by any prime agency or export agency of this country. So that's why impeachment is required, because the cash was, I'm very categorically submitting, cash was found from the house of government bungalow of Justice Yashwant Verma. And then if cash was found and FIR has to be registered, unless he is provided immunity, there can't be FIR. So in order to until impeachment is passed, he will be having the constitutional immunity. Once constitutional immunity goes, then he will become ordinary citizen. Ordinary citizen, because the FIR will be registered and criminal action will take its place. That is what the procedure is, unless and until any other procedure is adopted or Honorable Supreme Court set certain criteria, because petition is already filed with the Supreme Court. Okay. That is what.
Okay, all right. All right. I'll come back to you. I am also being joined by Justice A.N. Mittal. Justice Mittal, thank you for joining us. Again, the same question. How do you view the case hearing that is soon going to start in the Supreme Court after constitution of the 3-judge bench by the CJI? The petition that has been filed in court by Justice Yashwant Verma, who is challenging the accusations against him on the corruption charges, and at the same time the impeachment motion that has been sought by the parliamentarians in the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha.
Certainly, in my humble opinion, both the proceedings are different. They are not dependent upon each other. And for the impeachment motion, the recommendation of CJI is not required. As far as the petition before Honorable the Supreme Court is concerned, the main ground taken is that he was not given proper opportunity of hearing, and he has challenged the 3 judges inquiry report. What we see that when this inquiry was going on, even before the inquiry, he was given full opportunity to explain the circumstances and explain that how that cash was found in his home. Even after the inquiry report was submitted to the Honorable Chief Justice of India, the said report was furnished to Justice Yashwant Verma and his explanation was sought. He had not given very satisfactory explanation, and the usual defenses that it is wrong, it is biased, it is unconstitutional, the usual defenses have been taken. So I think that there are very remote chances of success in the Supreme Court, because Supreme Court has followed the procedure whichever is provided under the law. As far as the impeachment motion before the Parliament is concerned, the Parliament has already taken 150 signatures of the Lok Sabha members and 63 signatures of the Rajya Sabha member, and the requirement is 150. 100 from the Lok Sabha and
Yes.
50 from the Rajya Sabha. And government appears to be in full mood to move the impeachment motion in the present House. And I think that the government is having majority and has taken the confidence of all other political parties. So I think that this impeachment motion shall be passed by majority.
Could you also tell us what is the procedure once the motion has been accepted, it's been admitted, what is the procedure?
When the motion has been passed in the by both the houses of the Parliament, then the impeachment is done. Then, as my brother Ashwini Dubey was telling, that after that he will be an ordinary citizen and a criminal case can be registered against him. And for when the impeachment motion is passed,
when this investigation is going on, who are the individuals? Is it a committee that is formed? Who are the members or part of the committee who investigate the matter and decide whether the judge is to be impeached?
Certainly, it is the privilege of the Parliament to also inquire independently, not only to take the view of the three judges committee. The Parliament has a prerogative to investigate the matter of its own, and whatever conclusion they draw, certainly upon that the impeachment motion shall be moved.
All right. Okay. And then, and what do you think? Do you think this entire furor that has been created, the untimely resignation of Jagdeep Dhankar as the Vice President and the Chair of Rajya Sabha, about the government versus opposition, this is what it seems to have become. The BJP at this point of time feels, this is being speculated, that the opposition was trying to undercut it in the Rajya Sabha, versus the opposition at this point of time trying to take credit to be the harbingers of anti-corruption in the country. Do you think this is these developments, these political developments and brickbats that are being witnessed all around us could be let go of, and focus should have just remained on the impeachment motion and the allegations and charges against Justice Verma?
Basically, whatever is coming in the electronic media and the print media, we can tell about that only, because we don't have any specific knowledge. Basically, what has come in the print media as well as in the electronic media, that Honorable the Vice President intended to bring the impeachment motion by the signatures of 63 opposition members in the Rajya Sabha. He was moving the motion in the Rajya Sabha, and certainly if that motion was passed by the Rajya Sabha, all the opposition members, then the credit could have gone to the members of the opposition. While it was the move, and it is the move of the majority government to impeach Justice Yashwant Verma.
But I don't know. Is this? Are we saying? Is this just the mere women fancy of the government, of the members of parliament to impeach a particular individual, or the fact that the act that he has allegedly committed has then forced the parliamentarians who are representatives of the people of India to act in such a manner to seek an impeachment motion against this individual. All right, I'm out of time. I thank both of you for joining me on the telecast and sharing your views. Meanwhile, let's take a look at this breaking development. They are demanding a transparent probe by the SIT into the allegations of mass burials in Dharamsthala in Dakshin Kannada district. The Karnataka BJP president B.Y. Vijayendra has now urged the state government to quote-unquote stop attempts to destroy the atmosphere in Dharamsthala. Listen into what he said.
वो अभी तय नहीं है, राजकोट में है इतना तय है, सब्जेक्ट टू ये डीएनए टेस्ट का रिजल्ट.
Belly Thomas on the telecast with me. Belly, of course there is pressure that is being built by the BJP, and therefore a statement that has come from the BJP leader that the government should not vitiate the atmosphere, and of course the big demand that the culprit needs to be brought to book.
Absolutely, Megha. The leader of opposition, R. Ashoka, has reiterated the fact that it is fair and good that the government forms an SIT and probe into the allegations of the sanitation worker who has come out with glaring submissions that he had mass buried hundreds of women and minor girls who have been sexually assaulted. But with this case, there should be no chance of attacking the religious institution or the people who are solely and who are very dedicatedly working for it, is what the BJP leaders are telling that. And the special investigation team probing the Dharmasthala has recently constituted a team of 20 officers to lead the investigation, and this team is going to conduct a thorough inquiry into the allegations that have sparked widespread public outrage, and allegations of mass burial, sexual violence and cover-up spanning over 16 years have cast intense scrutiny on the temple town of Dharmasthala in Karnataka. And the case has come to light after this sanitation worker who has stepped forward claiming that he was coerced into burying and cremating the bodies of women and minors, many alleged showing signs of assault between 1995 and 2014. And his complaint led to the filing of an FIR.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Belly, for giving us that update. An Indigo flight from Ahmedabad to Diu with 60 passengers on board aborted takeoff due to a technical snag. The incident was reported during the takeoff roll and the flight was immediately vacated, as per Indigo spokesperson. The aircraft had begun its takeoff roll when the pilot said Mayday call to the air traffic control. An Indigo spokesperson said that the pilots informed the authorities after discovering the technical snag. Jatin on the telecast with me. Jatin, what more information do you have?
जी देखिए, बिल्कुल आपको बता दूं कि फिलहाल जो जानकारी मिली है उसके मुताबिक अहमदाबाद से जो दीव जो जा रही थी फ्लाइट, जो इंडिगो फ्लाइट थी, वो उड़ान भरने से पहले ही जो है पायलट के द्वारा मेडिक कॉल जो है वो जारी किया गया था, और उसके बाद जो है इस फ्लाइट को जो है वो तुरंत जो है वो रोक दिया गया है। इसमें 60 यात्री जो है वो इस प्लेन के अंदर सवार थे। इंडिगो प्रवक्ता ने कहा कि 23 जुलाई यानी कि आज अहमदाबाद से दिल्ली जाने वाली 6E7966 जो उड़ान भरने वाली थी उसको पहले ही तकनीकी खराबी का संकेत मिला और उसको तुरंत ही जो है वो रोक दिया गया। अधिकारियों को सूचित कर दिया गया था कि विमान को अब जो है वो बे में वापस ला दिया जाए, और इसी के साथ जो है ये जो बहुत बड़ा हादसा है यहाँ पर जो है वो होते होते बच गया। मेडिकल किसी भी इमरजेंसी के लिए जो है वो घोषित किया जाता है और मेडिकल मिलने के बाद तुरंत ही जो है वो इंडिगो डिपार्टमेंट है उन्होंने तुरंत ही ये फ्लाइट को जो है वो कैंसिल करने का आदेश जारी कर दिया था। जी,
थैंक यू फॉर गिविंग अस दैट अपडेट। The BSF is set to deploy its newly raised drone squadron along the entire international border in Jammu and Kashmir. My colleague Ajay Jandial has filed this report from the international border. Listen in.
NewsX has reached ground zero here on the international border in Harassed sector, and they are the brave heroes of the BSF, those who have taught lesson to Pakistani Ranger and the Pakistani Army, and they have destroyed number of Pakistani terror launch pad across the international border during the Operation Sindoor. And now when Amarnath Yatra is going in, and they have the challenge of to ensure that they have to save the borders as well, because there are apprehension that Pakistan could try to push in terrorists over here. But yes, these brave soldiers of the BSF, they are going to be strengthened more, as BSF is going to deploy a drone squadron on the international border from Jammu Kashmir to Gujarat. Yes, I'm saying that international border is going to be more strengthened, and they are the real heroes, those who always guard this fence. They always, remain on the alert and foil Pakistan's nefarious plan of disturbing peace in the Jammu and Kashmir. What they have done in the Operation Sindoor, we have seen it, and in the coming days, the BSF is going to strengthen them by deploying the drone squadron. Yes, according to information, drone squadron will be deployed on all along the international border in the different states with Pakistan, and these drone squadron soldiers will be deployed in the different BOPs of Jammu and Kashmir, Punjab and other part of the country. This is to ensure that if Pakistan is trying to push terrorists over here in the Jammu and Kashmir, if Pakistan is going to push in drone drugs and weapon with the help of drone, then these drone squadron will be able to foil Pakistan's nefarious plan over here. And you can see that how these brave soldiers are doing patrolling and guarding the international border area. The drone squadron is also going to strengthen the borders by foiling all the nefarious plan of Pakistan here on the international border. If you could see that this is Pakistani BOP, where Pakistan always give shelter to the terrorists, and in the past few months what we have seen that these brave soldiers of the BSF, they have foiled Pakistan's nefarious plan and destroyed number of Pakistani positions and terror launch pad over here. Now it is the time when drone warfare is continuously, definitely it's going to be a challenge, and that's why these borders of international borders in India will be strengthened with the drone squadron, and these soldiers of the BSF will be given best training, and they will be deploying not only the surveillance but the attack drones also to foil Pakistan's nefarious plan of pushing terrorists, drugs and weapons from across. With Banditi Gratis India, NewsX, International Border.
Under the skilled leadership of Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath, Uttar Pradesh is emerging as a new force in the defence sector.
30,000 करोड़ रुपए के निवेश उत्तर प्रदेश के अंदर डिफेंस सेक्टर के ही होने जा रहे हैं.
A defence corridor is being developed in 6 major districts. By fostering defence manufacturing, this is promoting India's self-reliance. The defence corridor has attracted investment commitments worth rupees 30,000 crore. 96% of the land allocated has been acquired. Out of 2,097 hectares, 2,015 have been secured. In Lucknow, the BrahMos Aerospace Integration and Testing Facility has been constructed. Built at a cost of rupees 300 crore, this unit stands on 80 hectares and will produce the world's state-of-the-art supersonic cruise missiles. Apart from strengthening the defence sector, the UP Defence Corridor will also provide employment to young people.
अगर आप बनना चाहते हैं एंकर, या फिर आप में है जुनून एक तेज तर्रार न्यूज रिपोर्टर बनने का, तो आप ज्वाइन करें ITV और इंडिया न्यूज NewsX का मीडिया स्कूल. ITV नेक्स्ट मीडिया इंटरनेशनल स्कूल का कोर्स आपको मौका देता है देश के दिग्गज एंकर्स के साथ काम करने का. ITV नेक्स्ट मीडिया इंटरनेशनल स्कूल में आप बेहद नजदीकी से देख पाएंगे किस तरह से ITV नेटवर्क के दिग्गज पत्रकारों की टीम दिन रात खबरों पर काम करती है। इस कोर्स के दौरान आप सीखेंगे एंकरिंग की एक एक बारीकी उन एंकर्स के साथ जो देश को रखते हैं हर खबर से बाखबर। ITV नेक्स्ट मीडिया इंटरनेशनल स्कूल का ये कोर्स आपके एंकरिंग स्किल्स को करेगा इतना सशक्त, मजबूत, जिससे आप बनेंगे पत्रकारिता की दुनिया का वो चमकता चेहरा जो दुनिया देखेगी और पसंद करेगी।
Uttar Pradesh government's Project Alankar has emerged as a standout example of effective educational reform. Launched by Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath in October 2021, the scheme has transformed infrastructure and learning environment in state-run schools.
यूपी शिक्षा का एक नया मॉडल देने जा रहा है स्कूली शिक्षा का, प्री प्राइमरी से लेकर के और सीनियर सेकेंडरी लेवल तक।
The project seeks to achieve 100% compliance with 35 infrastructure and facility benchmarks in 2,441 government schools. Under this initiative, schools are being equipped with smart classrooms, science laboratories, libraries, computer labs, and hygienic toilets. This has created a conducive and inclusive environment for learning. Enrollment in secondary schools has increased by 23% and attendance in primary schools has risen 11.5%. The turnaround witnessed in government-run schools in UP has made this ambitious scheme a role model for other states across India.
Big development, in fact, in the ICICI Videocon loan fraud case. The appellate tribunal under the Smugglers and Foreign Exchange Manipulation Act has found former ICICI Bank CEO Chanda Kocher guilty. Kocher has been found guilty of accepting 64 crore bribe in return for sanctioning a 300 crore rupee loan to the Videocon group in 2009. The clean sheet that Chanda Kocher received from the PMLA adjudicating authority has been reversed. The ED, which attached Kocher's assets worth 78 crores rupees, has been upheld. Chanda Kocher's clear conflict of interest has been underscored. The tribunal noted that immediately after disbursement of the loan, 64 crore rupees was diverted to New Power Renewables, where Deepak Kocher, the husband of Chanda Kocher, was managing the company. Dr. Sharat Kohli, senior economist, is joining us on this broadcast. Dr. Kohli, what do you make, of course, of this trouble mounting for Chanda Kocher and the way this entire trial is panning out?
Good evening, Uday. Good evening to my fellow panelists and NewsX viewers. I think the tribunal has established the case that this is a classic example of 300 crores being paid, being financed to Videocon's dhoots by ICICI. So you disburse 300 crores. Once I receive the money, we will give back 64 crores to you. The two companies involved, Supreme Energy Private Limited and New Power Renewables Private Limited, they were both used as conduits, to siphon out the money and pay them. So it's an offense under prevention of money laundering, PMLA as well. And of course, this is a classic case of corruption. This reminds me of phone banking. When Prime Minister Modi, he spoke of phone banking a few years ago. This is what phone banking was, that this is how loans used to be given, that, you get a call from some top brass. Of course, here, the unfortunate part is that a banking official herself was involved in it, a banking head herself was involved. But phone banking was when you used to get a call from some neta or somebody, a high-ranking official, and the banks used to disburse. Now, see, in any classic case, when a loan is given to a borrower, there's a checklist. What do you check? What you check first is the borrower capable of repaying? Number one. What is the balance sheet of the borrower looking like? Number three. What is the credibility of the promoters and the directors of the company? What are the prospects of the company continuing? What are the basic sales, revenue, and profits of the company? So all these boxes need to be ticked at that time. And it is important to note that Videocon, we all know, is a sunken ship. That Videocon was never in a position to probably repay that amount. So this was a classic case of a deal and an arrangement between the two of them. That, okay, you disburse 300 crores. After I receive 300 crores, I will give back 64 crores to you. The remaining 236 crores, you use the way you want. So I think ICICI Bank, which is a diversified company, it's a bank which is held by diversified shareholders. It doesn't belong to government. It also doesn't belong to any particular, industrial group or so. People's money is there. So this was a classic case of siphoning out people's money for an industrial house, for vested interest, and a case of a bribe. I think tribunal finds this as an open and shut case. To me, when I had read this case at the beginning, when 2009, 2012, this happened, the disbursement happened in 2012. But ever after that, if you look at the facts of the case, they were very clear, because Mr. Deepak Kocher, her husband, she should have disclosed at that time. If she was pleading not guilty, then she should have disclosed at the time of disbursal that my husband is involved, or these companies belong to my husband, or are directly or indirectly controlled by my husband. The fact that she did not disclose itself smells a rat at that time, and to me it was an open and shut case always. I'm glad that tribunal has that. I think this will set an example, Uday, for the bankers, for the banking system. And we've constantly been talking about the government banking system. We call them as the PSBs, the public sector banks. But here is a case of a private sector bank. We call ICICI as a private sector bank because government doesn't have a stake in it. So this is a classic case of a private bank. And I think all private and public banks have got a message that if you mess around with people's money, even in private sector banks, Uday, there is people's money, because it is the deposits of the depositors which is used to lend out to the borrowers. So I think the message is loud and clear. If you mess around with that money, you're not going to be spared. It is now 13 years since the disbursal has been made. So you don't feel that if probably 4 or 5 years have gone, the file must have got buried, the case must have got buried, it must have taken a back seat, people must have forgotten, courts must have forgotten, tribunal must have forgotten. Well, that's not the case. You can be held guilty even after 12, 13 years of having done that fraud. And I think Chanda Kocher at one point of time was the apple of everybody's eye as far as banking sector is concerned. I remember she was being called at conclaves, at conferences, as speakers, speaking and setting an example of being a banker. I think she has ruined her career, the whole reputation of being a banker. And we were so glad that there's a lady banker who's a shining star. But I think things turned out to be the other way around. I think a classic example that the arms of law are very long. You may run for miles, but eventually you're going to get caught, Uday.
All right, let me in fact quickly take that to Dr. Jayajit Bhattacharya, President CDPR as well. Dr. Bhattacharya, now of course the big development is coming in regarding the way this is panning out. The tribunal holding Chanda Kocher guilty, prima facie, it does look like a big setback for her and her legal efforts in this case, isn't it?
Absolutely, yes. I think if the tribunal has gone through the due process and has found out that Chanda Kocher is guilty, then I believe then that's what the case would be. But more interestingly, a loan is not given by the whims and fancies of a single person in any large bank, or for that matter, even in a small bank. There's always a committee. And even when this issue was exposed by Arvind Gupta way back in 2016, the point that was raised is that it cannot be only Chanda Kocher. There is responsibility of others, and I have not seen their names coming up. So it's a pretty deep governance issue, because somehow the entire committee was influenced in approving this loan. And there is about 10 lakh crores of loans which have been written off as NPA. I think this case should be taken up as a case which should trigger investigations into every single NPA which is greater than 1,000 crore. Because clearly, as Sharad Kohli laid out, there was a quid pro quo, and that is exactly what was investigated by the tribunal. So why are these large loans becoming NPAs without any recourse, and what is being done about it? And how does an entire committee agree to such large loans being given, where clearly there is a quid pro quo, clearly there is an element of corruption, and therefore there is a very large governance question mark. ICICI Bank is one of the best banks in this country, and if such a thing can happen at the highest level in one of the best banks in this country, then we are at a complete financial meltdown danger. Obviously, I don't want to be alarmist. The point more is to drive in and do more investigative study in all other loans and NPAs that have happened in the last 10-15 years, so that there is no repeat of such an incident ever. And I think that is an important learning to be looked at and to be implemented as soon as possible.
Okay, let me in fact also get in Piyush Pant, senior journalist, in at this point. Piyush Pant, your first reaction to this holding of Chanda Kocher guilty, and of course also this entire incident. What lessons can be learned for bankers, for the industry, through the way this entire trial has panned out, and also of course the case of quid pro quo?
Well, Uday, in fact, this judgment, tribunal judgment, has proved again what she did, Chanda Kocher did, which ED was pointing it out, which ED had pointed it out, but unfortunately she was given a clean chit by the UP court. So now this tribunal has established that it is a case of corruption where bribe was taken and the loan was sanctioned after taking the bribe. You know, here what happened when the bribe reached in the account of the company, Deepak Kocher's company, then the second and next day the loan was sanctioned to the video call. So it was clear case of taking bribe for making loan available to the company. So I think this is a big lesson for those who give importance to the money and who give importance to the lust for the money. And I think Kocher also, you know, she realized it when she wrote a letter 10 years back to her daughter Aarti, where she pointed it out that one should be ambitious, one should of course go ahead in the life, but one should also take care that one should also follow the values of life. Now she realized it after doing so many mess, you know, in the banking sector and in her life, because she was at the top of the banking sector. I mean, she was an icon, sort of an icon in Indian banking, and she had so many awards given to her nation, international as well. But what level she descended to, it's very, I mean, very surprising, and I think it exposes the nature of the Indian character, people, how weak Indian people are, you know, whether they are at the top, even at the top, but they just fall prey to the lust of the money. You know, here it's clear case of this thing, and particularly also it is an indication, and it is you can say a verdict on the you know, the nexus between the corporate in the corporate sector or the banking sector, nexus between the top officials, and also because, you know, as we're saying, we know that the public sector bank, they had this bad reputation of being run by somebody in the political sphere or in the government and sanctioning the loans. But here
absolutely
also something.
Yes, Naveen Chomal also with us now. Naveen Chomal, you know, what happens next? Of course, this is a big moment for the trial with the tribunal saying this. What happens next though, Naveen Chomal? Because this is being looked at as an example case. Through this case, we will be able to see if there are checks and balances to hold these, you know, high and powerful in the economic strata guilty, if indeed this does hold out.
Definitely, I fully agree with you. But I think we need to travel a long way in this sector, because there is a very big rot in the system. For last over 70 years, the banks have been...
The Uttar Pradesh government, led by Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath, is powering the future by creating thousands of new jobs for our youth. By providing government jobs and supporting self-employment ventures, it is making sure that every young dream finds a path to success.
पारदर्शी भर्ती ने उत्तर प्रदेश के नौजवान को उत्तर प्रदेश के विकास के लिए समर्पित कर दिया है।
In the past 8 years, 8.5 lakh young adults secured government jobs. Of this, 95,000 jobs were provided by the UP Public Service Commission and 2,16,000 new appointments were made in the police department. Entrepreneurs are being provided interest-free loans to the tune of 5 lakh rupees. Infrastructure support and innovative skill development programs have resulted in 2 crore jobs across 96 lakh MSME units. The Yogi Adityanath-led government is scripting new success stories and realizing the vision of a developed India.
टेस्टो सोया चांप, टेस्ट मीन्स टेस्टो। अब स्वाद और सेहत एक साथ। नॉन फ्रोजन, नो प्रिजर्वेटिव्स, शुद्ध सोया से बना, प्रोटीन से भरपूर, सेहत का नया स्वाद। सोया चांप, द अल्टीमेट सोर्स ऑफ प्रोटीन, अ पैकेट ऑफ हैप्पीनेस। टेस्टो सोया चांप।
Under the leadership of Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath, Uttar Pradesh is playing an important role in making India self-reliant. Gautam Budh Nagar is shaping up to become a global semiconductor hub.
आज उत्तर प्रदेश डाटा सेंटर के एक बड़े हब के रूप में स्थापित हुआ है।
India's 6th semiconductor plant is going to be built on 48 acres of land in Noida. A chip manufacturing unit is being set up with an investment of rupees 3,700 crores. This plant will manufacture display driver chips for mobile phones, laptops, cars, PCs, medical equipment and a myriad of other devices. 20,000 wafers and 36 million units will be produced per month. The plant is expected to create more than 4,000 direct jobs. Hospitality, transport and service industries will benefit at the local level. As India moves forward in its journey to develop this strategically vital industry, Uttar Pradesh is emerging as a future semiconductor hub.
टेस्टो सोया चांप, टेस्ट मीन्स टेस्टो। अब स्वाद और सेहत एक साथ। नॉन फ्रोजन, नो प्रिजर्वेटिव्स, शुद्ध सोया से बना, प्रोटीन से भरपूर, सेहत का नया स्वाद। सोया चांप, द अल्टीमेट सोर्स ऑफ प्रोटीन, अ पैकेट ऑफ हैप्पीनेस। टेस्टो सोया चांप।
आज नक्सलवाद भी भारत में अपनी अंतिम सांसें गिन रहा है।
मैं सबसे पहले एक बात इस सदन में जिम्मेदारी के साथ बताना चाहता हूं। 21 मार्च 2026 को इस देश से नक्सलवाद समाप्त।
ये बहुत ही घने जंगल है यहाँ पे। तो तुम्हारा नाम क्या है? One common conclusion that we can draw inside the jungles at this time of the hour at night.
The first glimpse of the Air India crash report. Its full 15 pages have just been released. Let me take an opportunity to go through what the details are. Literally 2 or 3 seconds after the takeoff, after the clearing of the runway, the flight control switches turned off within 1 second of each other. Both engines had their fuel supply switched off.
We need to pay attention to every possibility, including a possibility of those switches failing on their own.
It is not categorically proven. It is merely a suggestion that they have been moved by one of the members of the crew on the flight.
This is obviously Firangi media trying to cast aspersions and coming up with validation.
Hello and welcome. You're watching NewsX and I'm Megha Sharma. The Election Commission's findings from the Bihar electoral revision exercise has led to a huge political war. The leader of opposition has levelled a big charge against the Election Commission, saying that the elections are being stolen in India. The Election Commission has found 52 lakh missing voters, with 18 lakh names mentioned in the voters list being deceased. The survey, which has now been filled by 97% of Bihar's voters, has also found 7 lakh people being enrolled in 2 places simultaneously. The Bihar electoral roll exercise has led to a massive face-off inside and outside the parliament. The Bihar Assembly also witnessed a heated conversation between Nitish Kumar and Tejaswi Yadav. Listen in to what both leaders had to say to each other.
बिहार में जो चीज की कोई कमी थी हम लोग चारों तरफ घूम करके देखे हैं और जहां कोई कमी थी उसको भी कर दिया और एक एक काम हम लोग कर रहे हैं हर दिन के लिए जब भी कहीं जरूरत रही वो काम किए तो अब मामला है कि चुनाव लड़ना है तो भाई चुनाव लड़िए और चुनाव लड़ने में अंड बंड जितना बोलना है बोलते रहिए।
और आप जानते हैं महोदय कि हमारे एसआईआर जो प्रक्रिया हो रही है हमको इसका विरोध नहीं है, एसआईआर का विरोध नहीं करते, लेकिन जो प्रक्रिया जो पारदर्शिता होनी चाहिए, ईमानदारी से निष्पक्ष होकर के चुनाव आयोग को काम करना चाहिए था, वो ये काम नहीं कर रही। इसका हम इस सदन में हम खंडन करते हैं और ये सच्चाई है महोदय। मतलब चुनाव आयोग का ये कहना है कि हम जो है कंप्लेंट मिला कि बाहरी वोटर आ गए हैं या बाहर के अंदर आ गए हैं, ये उनके न्यूज़।
All right, let's start our conversation. Joining me on the telecast right now is Gopal Krishna Agarwal, BJP spokesperson. Gopal Agarwal, what do you have to make of the opposition attacking the BJP and more importantly the Election Commission for the exercise, the electoral roll exercise that is being conducted? The Election Commission has come up with these discrepancies. A number of these voters who were listed are actually not alive. There are several others who have been listed twice in 2 different constituencies or 2 different states. How do you have to react to this?
Meghna ji, surely Election Commission has come out with detailed data, and when they say about 52 lakh people not being present and their reasons because of the issue about there being some people getting have died, some have not present there, they have left, and there are duplication of names, etc. All the reasons have been given, and almost more than 97% of voter list identification and form submission has been received by the Election Commission, and they are saying there is still a process that if there is discrepancy found out in any of the voter list, he will be given notice. He can again submit out of 11 documents any of the documents. So the process is very transparent. Process is within the constitutional procedure decided under the Election Commission's rules and regulation. It has been challenged at the Supreme Court. Supreme Court has also not said that the process may go on. Again, hearing is on 28th July. And there is still time on before the elections. So, and this has been a regular process. Before every Election Commission has to update the electoral voters list, and it is required because surely if you do not update the electoral rolls, there may be deaths of the people, migration also, new people might have come.
You know, the question opposition is raising is that why could this not have been done a year ago? Why is it being done just a few months before the elections are taking place? So again, it does, and it's just about a period of 15 to 20 days. Does the Election Commission even have ample time to complete this survey transparently and with the due diligence it requires?
So Meghna ji, Election Commission has also clarified that before last election, also it was started on 15th July and completed before 14th August. Opposition did not raise at last election time. And this is the regular process at every election, state and the center election, everywhere it takes place. There may be new voter also, they have to be included. Why they will not get a chance if there are new voters? The thing is, opposition is very sure that they are going to lose this election, and therefore they are crying foul. One thing. Second is, in democratic every institution, whether it is election commission, whether it is the parliament, whether it is the court, all the constitutional institutions are being undermined by opposition. They want to create a false narrative that they are completely saying, clearly saying at international platforms that democracy is not working in India because they are losing, because people of the country are not giving them votes. Continuously they are losing because of their policy, confusion, lack of leadership. They are losing one election after elections in the state and the center. But instead of accepting the mandate of the people, they are putting the blame on democratic institutions, undermining them, creating under narrative at the
fair
local
enough.
level.
Ishan Tyagi is also on the telecast with me. He is the Congress spokesperson. Ishan, what do you have to say to Gopal Agarwal's contentions that the democratic institutions, including the election commission, are being repeatedly undermined by the opposition because they fear losing the election?
Meghna ji, primarily Gopal ji mentioned three things, and I'll respond to him on all the three things he has mentioned. First of all, he said that the process is very transparent, and Meghna ji, the root cause of the problem is the process is very opaque. And when did it start being opaque? It started being opaque when the BJP government in the center overruled the decision of the Supreme Court, and they removed the CJI, the Chief Justice of India, from the process of selection of the election commissioner itself. They included the Prime Minister, a minister from his council, and the leader of opposition, which is a 2:1 ratio in favor of the government itself. That is when the process started being opaque in the Election Commission of India, first of all. The second thing he says that this exercise happens every election. When was the last time this exercise, SIR, which is Special Intensive Review, conducted in Bihar? This was conducted last time in 2003. That means all the governments since 2003 in Bihar are not valid, are not legal. Does that mean that? The other thing he mentions that, okay, and the Election Commission also mentioned that 18 lakh people died and passed away in last few months. And you know, this is a fact that the last time the voter rolls were updated were in January 2025, just 7 months before this process started. Is this a joke? What was this exercise which was conducted and the voter list was released in January 2025? Should we throw that away in the dustbin? How many people died in that voter list? So the problem is, I mean, this government is very opaque. The process is very opaque, and Meghna ji, to mention that the Supreme Court suggested the Election Commission in their order on 10th July 2025 that you should include the Aadhaar card, the EPIC, or the Ration card in the list of 11 documents.
There was a contention that was raised, and since then the Election Commission has been directed to accept the Aadhaar card for the revision exercise that they are conducting. Okay, I am also being joined by Dr. Mohammed Amin. He is the former Joint Director, Election Commission of India. Dr. Amin, how do you view the situation? The opposition doubling down on the Election Commission. They seem to have some problem or the other, whether it is about the non-acceptance of Aadhaar card as a valid identity proof, or for that matter now, when the Election Commission has raised this point that there were 18 lakh voters who were listed in the electoral roll and they not in existence. They are no longer living.
Meghna ji, this exercise was pressurized by the opposition leader, Mr. Rahul Gandhi, to do this type of extensive revision of the voter list. Actually, last election in the Maharashtra and Haryana and Delhi, they were telling the election commission has much lakhs of voters in the favor of the BJP. So that's why this time the incentive revision is going on, and this he is telling lie that only the election commission has given taken the verdict from the CGI, that Supreme Court has given the suggestion if you can consider the voter ID card, election ID card, and Aadhaar card and ration card. He has not given any clear-cut order to accept it. It is a duty of the Election Commission. Election Commission is also a constitutional body, and they are doing the revision of the work. So that's why everything in order, and we are doing, I think completion of the work is going on. If you have any objection, they can put the objection. There is enough time for 1 month. After that, we are going to finalize the final voter list for the voter.
Yeah, but what do you make of the charges against the Election Commission that it is no longer working democratically, that this Election Commission's revision exercise is being done to undermine the elections so that opposition is made to lose the election even when they are winning, to remove the voters from the list that are not going to vote for the BJP?
No, they are having lot of the fake voters registered with the Election Commission. That's why Election Commission won't be, after paper verification, they want to accept it and the voter will become the voter. Otherwise, they will, bogus voter will cut it out from their list. So that's why the opposition is worried about that. The election will never do anything wrong for the public, and voter is important for us. And stakeholder, they can get the copy of the voter list. Every time in every election, this is a process, and this is constitution body. That's why we are doing any work. So Election Commission on the way. So no one can, even state chief justices and the CGI also cannot do interference in the election body's process work going on as voter list or the election. After the completion of the work, they can go for petitions.
Okay, all right. I'm going to come to Sumit P now. Sumit, how do you review the situation as the elections in Bihar are coming closer? There is once again an attack that has been made by the opposition leaders, opposition parties on the veracity and the credibility of the Election Commission. Are people of Bihar buying into this narrative that is being built?
Megha ji, thank you very much for having me on your show. Kindly give me a minute more today. Look, there are a couple of things here. The first and the most important thing is that opposition is crying foul because they are already seeing an imminent defeat. I'll tell you why. Because whenever they win, the Election Commission, the electoral process, Supreme Court, High Court, everybody works fine. And when they lose, then they start blaming everything, including the EV. So have they started blaming the EVM right now? Let's let them say that EVM kharab hai abhi. But when they win, then their EVMs are fine. When they lose, everything on this earth, every institution of India gets compromised. That's the first thing of the opposition. Typical Congress trademark, how they run. Now let's look at second fact. Now there are 2.5 crore illegals which live in India, which we know, which have been accumulated over the time. We don't know where they are. They need to be found. There are a lot of people who have died. We need to account for them. There are a lot of foreigners who have come into India. We need to look for them. Now let me take you back to 9 or 12 months. There was an IB report, a CBI report, which said, IB report, that 600 villages which are bordering Nepal, the demography of those villages has changed. A lot of people from minority community are there, and the villages say, hame nahi pata ye kaun hai. Where have these people come? Are these the voters who have been implemented or inserted into the system? Are Rohingyas being disguised as Biharis? And who are these people when the villagers don't know who they are? How did the demography of these villages change to a minority? And minority is whose vote bank? Let's not even get into that. Now let me give you some numbers which are really true. If you look at Bihar in last of the few elections, I have to just do 1 second. If you look at Bihar in last of the few elections, there are 35 seats, wherein out of 243, wherein the seat went here and there by 3,000 votes. And in 2015, there are around 52 seats out of 243, where seat went here and there by 5,000 votes. And now there are seats like Hisar, there's a Melissa 12, there's a start, there are some seats with 189, and there's a seat in Begusarai which went by 333 votes. If the winning or the losing margins are so different, if voters get disfranchised, if fake voters or fuzzy voters get taken out, I think everybody should be happy here, unless and until Congress has or the opposition has implanted these voters. Because if you can win a seat by 3,000 votes, if you can win an election by 5,000 votes, then even if you take out 100 or 500 votes from somewhere, why is only Congress and the opposition rattled? The BJP should be also rattled. BJP is not, because they have not implanted anybody. If you have implanted people, that is where you are rattled. Now look at this, 52 seats. You look at 32, 35 seats. That is almost where the win and the loss will determine. Don't we have Rohingyas in this country? Don't we have illegal Bangladesh in this country?
Okay.
How do you count them? How do you siphon them out? This is the question which they should answer. They are running out from that.
Okay, all right. Ishan, how do you react to this, particularly about the concerns that have been raised about whether the opposition is fearing defeat once again in Bihar?
Megha, our dear friend here mentioned that there are Rohingya voters in the country and they should not be allowed to vote. I partly agree from it. Yes, they should not be allowed to vote. Any other voter, a person who is not an Indian, be it a Bangladeshi, a Rohingya, or any other ethnicity, any other country, should not be allowed to vote in our country. That's our clear stance, first of all. The second of all is that Rohingyas have not flown into the country. They have not flown from the borders and landed in Bihar. First of all, they've crossed the borders and they've come all the way to Bihar, crossing all the states, or maybe from Nepal side. But, for last 20 years, who is in power in Bihar? The JDU and the BJP, which is an NDA alliance, is in power in Bihar. And for the last 11 years, we have the BJP government at the center. What has the BJP government been doing at the center and the NDA has been doing in Bihar? Have they been sleeping? If Rohingyas have an Aadhaar card today, who is to blame here? The BJP is to be blamed here. The JDU has to be blamed here. First of all, the third thing and very important thing is, have you seen the affidavit which has been filed by the Election Commission of India that only 11,000 voters have not been found? What about that whole false narrative of Rohingyas in Bihar? The demographic dividend of Bihar has been destroyed. Who has destroyed the demographic dividend? It is the JDU and the BJP alliance which has destroyed the demographic dividend of Bihar. The third and the very important thing is the BLOs who have the responsibility to conduct all this exercise of SIR are working under serious pressure, Megha.
Yeah, but then you're making these allegations. My point is, you're making these allegations at this time. What is the credibility of these charges that you're making against the Election Commission? The Election Commission has gone to the courts and given its justification for why it's holding this revision exercise now, why it is not accepting the Aadhaar cards and the ration cards and the voter ID cards. So on what basis are you at this time making allegations against the Election Commission that it is not working democratically, that it is quote unquote working for one political party?
Megha, I'm not questioning the exercise. The exercise should be conducted. I'm questioning the process in which the exercise is being conducted. And this is what the Supreme Court has to say about this exercise. Let me quote the Supreme Court. If you don't believe me, let me quote the Supreme Court. I hope you believe the Supreme Court. After hearing both the sides, prima facie, we are of the opinion that there are following three questions. The Supreme Court has raised three questions. The first question is the very powers of the Election Commission to undertake this exercise. Because this is the kind of exercise in which citizenship is being checked by the Election Commission, which Election Commission does not have the powers to. The second question is the procedure and the manner in which the exercise is being undertaken. And the third and the very important question is the timings, including the timings given for preparation of the draft electoral rolls, asking objections for making final electoral rolls.
I should also tell you that the case at this point of time is being heard right now. The case is not done, the hearings are not done. I'm saying it's an ongoing process. So let the law take its own course. Why don't we let the law take its own course, let the hearings get over, let the judgment be announced by the Supreme Court, and then go about making our interpretations of what the Supreme Court thinks, and whether the Election Commission is doing an honest job of it. Coming back to you, Gopal Krishna Agarwal, like I said, as Ishan has said, that these are the questions that have been raised by the Supreme Court. These are also the questions that have been raised by the opposition parties. How do you think the Election Commission is going to justify the same questions? The timing of the revision exercise that is taking place, the fact that it is only taking place in Bihar, of course, about accepting only selective identity cards. These are all issues that have been raised by the opposition, and the Supreme Court also putting the same questions in front of the Election Commission to explain their stance.
Yeah, Meghna ji, we have to understand that I am not vouching or a spokesperson of the Election Commission, but the government has clarified that the issue about the verification, Election Commission has said, and even Supreme Court has said that verification of voter card, they are not going to stop. Issues about, Election Commission has given 11 documents, and the problem basically is that the number of Aadhaar card and voter card is more than the total number of voters in Bihar. That itself is a proof that there are many fake.
Gopalji, how do you know? How do you know that the number of Aadhaar cards are more than the number of population? You have not conducted.
The Election Commission has given that data. Election Commission has given that data in the Supreme Court, and on 28th the Supreme Court will give the final judgment. But I also would like to say that in democracy runs on institution. It is the responsibility of the Election Commission to hold election. It is not the responsibility of BJP government or opposition government to run the elections. Who will hold the election? Election Commission. It will decide, and within its rules, regulation, and within the constitution. And if any party has any objection, Supreme Court is the appellate authority, and opposition has duly done it.
Okay, fair enough.
The opposition is also saying, Meghna, that they agree that a revision should take place. If they have certain objection on the process, after 11 documents, still somebody does not have, ultimately, how will you prove the voter or citizenship?
Okay.
Only citizens have the right to vote.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Dr. Mohammed Amin, I'm going to come back to you. And why do you think there are political parties that time and again question the credibility of the Election Commission, either right before the elections take place or right after?
Listen, Meghna ji, this is the process of the Election Commission of India. They are having always having the update the list of the voter list before the parliament election and after the parliament election. In case of the start of the assembly election, before that, we have to update. It is mandatory for the Election Commission to update the voter list. And Supreme Court has not given any verdict or any order to comply for the Election Commission. Means they can take, there was a suggestion, they can take the Aadhaar card, they can take the voter ID card and take the voter ID card, but not as mandatory. We have to take it. It's our practice. So the court is not coming in between. Why? We are also at the constitutional body, Election Commission of India.
Okay. All right. So, quickly a response from you before I wrap this up. Do you think this is, unnecessary commotion that is being built between the Election Commission and the opposition right now, because it's campaigning officially starts. It is campaigning time, and every single time the opposition or political parties, for that matter, I wouldn't say just the opposition, but the political parties raise issues, raise agendas. This is to influence the voter in some way or the other.
You see, Megha ji, the problem here is that when the opposition should be really going and fighting it out there, what they're busy, they're trying to demean and defame the electorate of India, all the institutions of India, including High Court, Supreme Court. Everybody is corrupt, only they are honest. The question here is that, is your fixed match disturbed? is whatever you have to do, वो हिंदी में कहते हैं ना, setting जो बिठाई थी खराब हो गई क्या? If people are taken out, logically, where is your problem? Because if you want to win, if you have 10 lakh votes, you will win with let's say you will win 5 lakh votes. If you have 8 lakh votes, you will win 4 lakh votes. So where is your problem? Because you are facing whatever you are trying to build is out. And if you are out of power for too long, then that is the problem. People stop trusting you. And we know if Tejasvi Yadav cannot make it this time, it's almost the end of the road for him, because after being 10-15 years out of the power, a lot of people don't recognize you. Look at our good friend Rahul Gandhi ji. You know how many years he has been out of the power, and every election he has been complaining about Supreme Court, EVM, EC and everything. But when he wins Karnataka, then EC is very good. But when he wins Himachal, EC is the best institution of the India. Well, you can't have this hypocrisy. You're running with the hare and hunting with the hounds. That kind of hypocrisy cannot run. And the most important thing is, it is the duty of the Honorable Election Commission of India to make sure anybody who's not eligible to vote should not be able to vote. And the Honorable Supreme Court has not brought this down. They tried to get a stay. They tried to stop the process. But the Honorable Supreme Court said, no, process is fine. We will not stop it. We will not intervene in it. Yes, you can come back and we can talk about the process, how it is done, but conceptually
just a quick response.
Valid and good. So where is the problem? Rather than fighting the elections there, why are you trying to do
okay, fair enough. Ishan, quickly, 30 seconds before I wrap this up.
Problem in Bihar is that the people of Bihar are living in multidimensional poverty. And if you see, the youth of the Bihar does not have jobs, they do not have opportunities which other parts of India have. And that is why around 3 crore people from Bihar, 3 crore youth from Bihar is forced to live in other parts of India and has migrated from Bihar. The other problem in Bihar is with the students who are eyeing for an entrance exam like NEET and other exams to the state government agencies. The paper gets leaked and they do not have opportunities again. The problem in Bihar, which has creeped in since Nitish Kumar is in power, is that crime and murders have increased in Bihar. So all this narrative of SIR is nothing but a cover up for all these goof-ups which the alliance of JDU and BJP
I don't know, you're talking about two things, but how are they connected is something that I'm not able to understand. All right, I'm out of time. I thank all of you for joining me on the telecast. And on that note, I slip into a short break. Thanks for watching NewsX.
Under the visionary leadership of Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath, the Uttar Pradesh government is accelerating its journey towards housing for all. The UP Housing Development Scheme is being implemented with dedication and speed. Under the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, the scheme is providing affordable, pakka houses to the economically weaker section of society. Every house is equipped with toilets, electricity, clean water and gas connections. This is ensuring a life of dignity and hope. Till now, more than 36 lakh houses have been sanctioned in rural areas. Families are getting safe and secure homes. In urban centres, more than 17 lakh houses have been built. Every brick laid is a step towards a stronger and prosperous Bharat, because a home is not just a roof, it is hope, security and new beginnings. The Uttar Pradesh government is building dreams, building lives and building a brighter tomorrow, one house at a time.
यशस्वी प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के संकल्प सबका साथ सबका विकास को माननीय मुख्यमंत्री योगी आदित्यनाथ जी ने सामाजिक एकता एवं समरसता के उच्चतम मानदंडों के साथ बनाया है यूपी सरकार का मूल मंत्र। परिणाम स्वरूप 2017 के बाद उत्तर प्रदेश में सभी को मिले बिना किसी भेदभाव के रोजगार के समान अवसर एवं योजनाओं के लाभ। 8.5 लाख से अधिक सरकारी और 3,75,000 से अधिक संविदा पर नौकरी पाने वाले जहां निष्पक्ष और पारदर्शी प्रक्रिया के साक्षी बने, वहीं अनुसूचित जाति, जनजाति, पिछड़े एवं निम्न आय वर्ग के अभ्यर्थियों को मिला आरक्षण का संपूर्ण लाभ। प्रधानमंत्री गरीब कल्याण अन्न योजना, प्रधानमंत्री आवास योजना और जल जीवन मिशन से लेकर मुख्यमंत्री युवा स्वरोजगार और एक जनपद एक उत्पाद जैसी विभिन्न योजनाएं यूपी में अंत्योदय से सर्वोदय का सपना कर रही हैं साकार। काम दमदार, डबल इंजन सरकार।
Hello and welcome. You're watching NewsX. I'm Megha Sharma. This is breaking development and we'll shift our focus to that. As per sources, the gelatin sticks that were found at the Bengaluru bus stand have now been taken away by the bomb squad. As per sources, the police are now examining whether this was an attempt to terrorize people or whether the explosives were being used for quarrying. My colleague Belly Thomas joins me from the bus stand in Bengaluru where the explosives were retrieved from. Belly, what's the update?
Megha, I'm right now at the very spot where the gelatin sticks were found. It is the gents' toilet here at the BMTC bus stand near Kalasi Palaya, and here it was around the morning time where a person who had come here had gone inside, who has kept the gelatin sticks bag here. So this was Deepak Kumar, who is the attendant of the toilet here. खड़े हो जाइए. ओके आपने क्या देखा, लाइक क्या हुआ यहाँ?
और सुबह 9:30 के आसपास में हम लोग इधर काम करा रहे थे, थोड़ा वो साफ सफाई का अपना आदमी लोगों से। उधर में वो साहब लोग आए हुए थे तो उधर में काम करा रहे थे। इधर से छोड़ करके थोड़ा साहब आए तो कुर्सी छोड़ना पड़ता ना, तो उधर गए अपना हम लोग काम करा रहे थे। इधर कोई पब्लिक आया, इधर एक सामान रख करके थोड़ा बेग गया इधर अंदर जाने के बाद जब मैं उधर से इधर आया तो यहाँ एक थैला पड़ा हुआ था, तो हम लोग सोचे अंदर से आएगा तो अपना ले जाएगा। तो थोड़ा 1 घंटा करीब हो गया तो आया ही नहीं इधर कोई। तो मैं सामान उठा करके, इधर पेटीएम है ना, तो मैं उठा करके इधर रख दिया। हम बोले कोई अगर छूट उठ गया होगा मिस में तो आएगा अपना ले जाएगा। तो मैं मार्केट चला गया सामान लाने के लिए, कुछ नल लेकर के आया तो देखा तो इधर में वैसा ही पड़ा हुआ था वो। तो मैं सोचा कि क्या है किसका है नहीं है, तो मैं बीएमटीसी के गार्ड साहब को फ़ोन बुला करके और उधर से वो आए तो खोल करके देखे उसको। एक लेडीज एक जेंट्स गार्ड साहब आए थे, खोल करके देखे तो बोले कि से वो कुछ आपत्तिजनक सामान है, तो लेकर के चले गए। पुलिस को फ़ोन किए, पुलिस तुरंत आया, अपना जो कार्रवाई था पुलिस लोग किया अच्छा से। जो बड़े अधिकारी भी पुलिस के आए हुए थे, 2-3 गाड़ी से अपना पूरा चेक करके चले गए।
This was Deepak Kumar, the attendant of the toilet, who was found that bag of gelatin sticks and the wires here, and he is saying that there is a program that's slated to happen with the chief minister here, and there is security concerns here as well, and he handed it over to the BMTC guard here, and that guard had called the police, and the police have come here and taken it and gone. The bomb squad has not come here, and since this is a BMTC and the adjacent to this, it is the KSRTC bus stand where a lot of people from the village come here, and they buy certain things for quarrying is what the police sources say. But having said that, they are not ruling any they are not taking any chances. They are yet to file an FIR, but as of now it is since it is disassembled and it was not assembled, it was not in a there was no danger as such for anyone here.
All right, thanks Belly for giving us that update. Moving on, there has been a disturbing surge in racially motivated incidents targeting Indians across the globe, which has ignited widespread alarm. From the hateful verbal assaults to violent physical acts, the Indian diaspora is grappling with a rising tide of hostility, often driven by anti-immigrant sentiment. These acts not only endanger individuals but also strike at the core of values like inclusion, diversity and mutual respect. Affected communities are raising their voices, demanding swift action from authorities to address this growing wave of hate and ensure that justice prevails. In fact, an Indian citizen in his 40s was violently assaulted and partially stripped by a group of attackers in Tolhurst in Dublin on Saturday. Photographs show him bleeding profusely with injuries on his face, arms and legs. He was taken to the Tolhurst University Hospital for treatment in the evening, and the Gardaí, which is the Irish National Police, have opened an investigation into the incident. The Gardaí has been alerted regarding the incident at Park Hill Road, Tallaght at approximately 6 p.m. Ambassador of India to Ireland Akhilesh Mishra questioned and condemned the incident on X, saying, "How can an alleged assault cause such horrible injury and bleeding?" He thanked the Irish people and the Irish police for their sympathy and support to the victim and called for the perpetrators to be brought to justice. There was, in fact, an Indian man who was allegedly brutally assaulted and racially abused by a group of unidentified men during a car park dispute in South Australia's Adelaide late week, according to reports. The incident near Kentor Avenue took place when the man was out to see the city's light displays with his wife in their car at around 9:22 p.m. local time on Saturday. The victim said a group of men approached him, hurled racial slurs and launched a vicious physical attack without any provocation. And after that, they just started punching him. There are videos showing the accused punching the Indian man on his face and stomach and kicking him continuously, even as the woman who is recording the assault screams in fear and tries to stop them. The accused then returned to their vehicle, leaving the man unconscious. The Indian man sustained severe injuries, including brain trauma and multiple facial fractures. There were emergency services that arrived soon after and transported him to the Royal Adelaide Hospital, where he received overnight treatment. In a third incident, a video of a man eating fried chicken inside ISKCON Govinda restaurant in London, despite it being a strictly vegetarian establishment, has sparked widespread outrage online. The video, which has gone viral on social media, shows the man, seemingly of African British descent, entering the premises of ISKCON's well-known vegetarian restaurant and asking if they serve meat. Upon being informed by the staff that no meat, onion or garlic was available, he took out the KFC chicken bucket and began eating it inside the restaurant. One customer confronted him, saying that he was violating the rules of the place and it was not fair, but the man continued his disruptive behavior until security was called and he was eventually removed from the premises. Amidst these horrific incidents that have been brought to light from across the globe, it is shameful, and authorities in all these countries need to take stringent action against these racial attacks on Indian nationals. Ambassador Basuti Mukherjee is on the telecast with me. Ambassador Mukherjee, is this a sudden rise that we see in the spate of racial attacks that Indians are witnessing, or is it that they are being reported more now than they were previously?
We have been the victim of racism, Megha, during 188 years of brutal British colonial rule. That kind of racism, let's not forget Jallianwala Bagh, let's not forget all those incidents which were perpetrated on us. But once we became an independent state, we were considered to be a very poor developing country. We were very poor because we had been colonized. But the moment India started rising, India started doing well globally, India had a strong government and governance, attacks on Indians seemingly increased in these developed countries. I am particularly surprised at the racist attack, Megha, in Ireland, because the Irish have been victims of British imperialism, colonialism, the potato famine, etc. India had been even under colonial rule, very sympathetic to the Irish. So I am absolutely amazed that in Ireland, the Irish could turn on one of their own, as they used to say, because that is how close we are to the Irish. So it's very unfortunate, and he was very badly beaten up. In Australia, the man was beaten, Mega, with knuckle dusters, brutally and without any mercy until he fainted. And of course, the totally disgusting incident of somebody bringing in chicken into an ISKCON restaurant also demonstrates Hindu phobia, phobia against Indians, jealousy, the inability to understand and appreciate how well Indians do when they go abroad. Look at the United States of America as an example. Look at London for that matter, where the only decent cuisine available in London is Indian cuisine because the Brits have no cuisine. Fortunately, when they came here, we taught them a little bit of Indian cooking. That's how they took a little bit back with them when they went back in 47. So this is also linked to India's rise. But at the same time, we as a nation must reflect, Megha, that do we really need to go to Gora land anymore? Do we really need to live with such people, such racists who hate us not just because of the color of the skin, but because we earn much more than them? We have very comfortable lifestyle back home in India. We speak English better than them, most of us, you know. So do we really need, we must educate the younger generation, our children, to appreciate what India offers and to make them understand that it's no longer the same as it was in 1955 when Indians may have gone and settled abroad, that we have the same or better available in India. So let's stay in India, and to quote dear Donald Trump, let's make India great. If America wants America great, let's all focus on making India great. Megha.
I also have with me Lord Rami Ranger. Lord Ranger, you know, such unfortunate incidents that are being reported from Ireland, and this has happened in London, and another one's happened in Adelaide in Australia. Again, the question about are Indians looked in a certain way by foreigners, and especially white-skinned people, because of which there are these racial attacks that are being subjected upon them. And not just that, even when Indians have been amongst the most successful communities across the globe, whether in United Kingdom, in Ireland, in United States of America, in Australia, Indians have taken on political positions. In fact, just a couple of years ago, the Prime Minister of Ireland was an Indian origin individual or Indian original person. Why do these racial attacks continue to happen? Has the white population in the Western world still not come to terms with the democracy, with living as equals, as humans, as human rights, that at this point of time, by way of these outrageous attacks, are being trampled upon?
First of all, I like to set the record straight. Prejudice is everywhere. Where is no prejudice? Do people not hate Sikhs? People don't hate Muslim? In Maharashtra, they are not hating people who don't speak Marathi. So I think prejudice is everywhere. There are caste system in India. Why there is a caste system? Why they are Dalit? Why they are untouchable? So don't give me that this only in the West. The very fact the West people come to West because it opportunities, and when they come to this country abroad, they become an asset to Mother India. As you just mentioned, Prime Minister of Ireland and Britain were Indian. The richest man in Britain is Indian. The biggest industrialist, Tata, are Indian. So therefore, by keeping Indian at home, you have enough population already. It's very easy to say, stay at home, livelihood. Who's going to, rhetoric it's a very hollow thing. So we have to be practical. People like me who had nothing, we came here, and I have now business in 130 countries. I receive honor from the Queen 8 occasions, and I'm now a peer. Could I have seen this in my lifetime in India when I had no father, no elite education, no family wealth, as a refugee from Pakistan? So therefore, the West has provided huge opportunity to people who have sent money back home, and they have uplifted their own relatives as well. Plus, by coming to West for education, you enhance your chances of better education. Today, most of the Indians are working in blue chip companies. Had they not left India, they would have been, I don't know, I would shudder to think what would have been their future. So therefore, it is totally wrong to advocate the people to stay at home. Yeah. Number two, coming back to this racial attack, first of all, attack will take place because when you have number of people of Indian origin, highly successful, highly talented people, low class people will blame them. They will not appreciate that these people have come to create wealth and employment. They work harder. The low class people will feel jealous that they have come to take over employment or houses or whatever. So therefore, the minority of these people who are racist, no decent person, educated person will attack a fellow human being. So therefore, the people who attack their fellow human being are the lowest of the low. Number two, unfortunately, wrong type of immigrants have been allowed to come to these countries. They are asylum seekers, they are boat people, they are all sorts of criminals. They have entered this country and they are trying to change the face of those countries. And people are really fed up. Lots of people in the street making fun of themselves and their community. You have seen what is happening in England. Yes, there are so many things the immigrants should not be doing, but they are doing. Instead of coming to build their careers, their business or livelihood, they are working hard to convert people, their religion. Can you imagine what lowest of the low people can be? You got an opportunity to build a life for yourself, and you are wasting your life in preaching people that by changing your religion you'll go to paradise when you already are in paradise. So therefore, I think you have to look at a bigger picture. The bigger picture is.
But then how do we reduce such instances? Should there be better education that needs to be provided? Should there be awareness that needs to be created? And while you have pointed out that there are prejudices and biases everywhere across the globe, and barring and not just it's available in it's visible over here in India as well. But when I'm talking about these 3 cases that have happened in different parts of the world, and these have happened in countries which are dominated by Caucasians, by white-skinned people. They are the natives who have attacked Indians. How do we better improve the situation? And yes, I agree that solution is not for Indians to be hiding in their countries and fearing that, oh my God, we are going to be prejudiced against, we might be racially attacked, and therefore we should just stay back in India and do nothing about it. But it is the time of the hour to stand our ground, to put our foot down and say enough is enough.
Well, when we come to a foreign country, we have to be very careful. We have to keep our profile very low. I have been in this country.
But then perhaps that's also causing the problem, because at the end of the day, there's the colonial hangover as well, not just from the Indian side, but from the British side, because they think of themselves to be the harbingers of everything that is fantastic and beautiful in the world, and especially in the third world countries. And it seems as if that narrative or that kind of this notion that they have has continued for decades and centuries together, which is what is shameful as well. I'm going to come to Surinder Singh Lali and bring him into the conversation. Surinder Lali, again, a situation that we have been unfortunately living with for centuries. It seems as if we have gotten so acclimatized to it that we just lie low, look the other way, and don't even take notice of it, don't even care. It's like, oh, it's an incident that has happened. Yes, we are used to it. Yes, it happens to Indians. What do we do about it? What attitude should we be taking, and what constructive action can be taken to stop this kind of racial attacks and prejudices against Indians?
Are you going to allow anybody to speak? Are you going to allow anybody to speak?
I'm just asking Surinder Singh. Sir, I gave you the platform. I gave you ample amount of time. I'll come back to you. But Surinder Singh Lali.
Speaking non-stop. And you expect us to start saying racism. If there was a racism, Indian wouldn't be successful.
Lord Rami Ranger, I gave you the time and you were speaking continuously for 3 to 4 minutes. I would request you to now give the platform to Surinder Singh Lali. I'll come back to you.
Million people, if there's one.
Thank you, Megha. As an immigrant, dark-skinned immigrant, in today's day and age of the way media has become far more fraught and polarized, things are very difficult. Megha, 21 months ago, I'd gone back from my college homecoming in the state of South Carolina, and in specific to a place called Charleston. That's from where the Civil War started, and I was maybe 500 meters away from the first, where the slaves were brought and auctioned, And we went to a bar, there were 3 of us, 2 of my white American fraternity brothers and me, and they were walking ahead of me because I was parking my car. And this was afternoon, and as soon as I was, they were let in, but when it came for me to walk into the bar, and the guy checked and said, sorry, we don't allow half sleeves. I mean, this speaks somewhere in Charleston, and I was not allowed to go in. So I said, what is the reason for that? He goes, well, that's the policy. I said, did that policy apply for 2 whites and intersection whites who walk before me? He says, oh, they're with you. I said, how does it matter who's with me or with not? I'm an individual. You got to respect.
Surinder Singh Lali, I'll have to interrupt you. There's an audio issue. There's an audio issue. We'll try to fix that. I'll come back to you while that issue is resolved. I have with me Jitat Jai Bharadwaj. Jitat, situation. Is this just a one-off incident, or we have been witnessing this time and again, but turning a blind eye to it?
See, Megha, racial discrimination is an issue in ways. We can't just deny that there is no racial discrimination. In Australia particularly, we have a racial discrimination commissioner. We have a special program to tackle racial discrimination and issues which are enjoined with that. This case where Indian particular name was taken with F word is a example that there is racial discrimination. Different races live in Australia. Almost 190 people from 190 countries are living here. They compete with each other. They sometimes like each other. Sometimes they hate each other. And sometimes incident like what has happened in Adelaide happens. I cannot deny that there is no racism, but how to tackle it, that's the issue. We sometimes are victim of our success. I can't deny that also. Excuse me. But the government of Australia, government of South Australia in this particular case has acted appropriately. One person has been arrested. They are looking for 3 people, and the premier, the equivalent of the chief minister of that state, has come forward and said that we are better than this. South Australians are better than us, and we condemn it to the core. That is the process for these incidents. What I see, there is an issue. We are working, it's work in progress. We can't deny there is racism in America, there is racism in Canada, UK, or Australia. But these society, we people live here, we have come here, we are the migrants. Now we call ourselves Indian Australians. So we cherish this place. We have been very, very successful here. But we also face certain issues, right, and we deal with it as a community.
Okay, all right. Coming back to you, Ambassador Mukherjee. So then, of course, the solution isn't to shut ourselves in the confines of our country and not go ahead and explore opportunities that are available all across the globe. It's also important to understand that this is just a handful of fringe elements in several countries that would end up acting like this. So, something similar to what would happen in India if there are especially white-skinned foreign nationals who arrive in India, and women, and if they are raped. These are fringe elements, anti-social elements, and they need to be contained. They need to be brought to justice, And of course, it becomes a responsibility of the state, it becomes a responsibility of the law enforcement agencies to ensure these incidents do not happen, whether in America, United Kingdom, Australia, or in India. How do we as a collective community work towards a more diverse and inclusive community world over?
Well, Megha, the narrative of your British Indian guest who has left, fortunately, was a colonial narrative, which actually damages more the standing of Indians in the United Kingdom. Because when a brown Saab speaks in this manner and tells us on Indian national television that thank God you people came here, thank God you people came to learn something from us, thank God that he is talking about the India that he left in the early 50s after partition. He is not aware of the India of 2025. And when you have these kind of colonial brown Saabs in these countries, and they are all over the place, I've dealt with them in my 40 years in foreign service, they actually do more harm than even the white man, because they are supporting the white man's colonial racist narrative. I'm very sorry to tell you. Moreover, I cannot agree with him that these are isolated incidents, because he said these are lower class people. In other words, he is bringing caste systems into white societies while condemning caste system in India. But he is talking like a casteist, because he said these are lower class people. What does he mean by that?
Yeah.
He should say that there are sections in every society which do not accept advancement of people according to merit. They do not accept racial equality. That's what he should say, not talk of caste and class. And he is doing it as caste and class because he is a brown Saab whom you brought into your program. And he left because he wanted to give us more of his brown Saab colonial narrative. I am telling you, Megha, in my experience in 40 years in foreign service, there are very, very nice white people, as our colleague from Australia pointed out, and as Lali Singh always points out. They are excellent, they are amazing people. They make the life of Indian immigrants worth it. At the same time, there are those who refuse, who are jealous, and it's not a question of class and caste. It's a question of racism. It's deep down inside. And if people try to deny it, I'm sorry for them. It doesn't mean that we are a perfect society. Not at all. But to turn around on us after 188 years of colonial rule and say, you people are inferior. I am an Indian who's done great because I went to UK, because I came as a partition refugee and then I went there. There are so many partition refugees who rebuilt Delhi, including Khan Market, including all the great things we've done here.
Yeah.
They are all partition refugees from Punjab and Bengal. So these kind of narratives, Megha, they can't be one-sided on Indian national television. I'm very sorry.
Not just Indian television, on platforms all across the globe. Surinder Lali, coming back to you. So again, this menace that Indians and not just Indians, but brown-skinned people, yellow-skinned people have been facing for a really long time. Is there a solution, and what is it?
Megha, first of all, I'm a little bit disappointed that Lord Rami really thinks that he is a lot, which he's not. And Ambassador Mukherjee rightly pointed out that he's still confining to, nourishing to, and living the Indian mindset that existed when he probably left India. Megha, the problem is that immigrants are doing very well. I mean, any part of the world you go to, a lot of people who've been born with a silver spoon don't want to work that hard. So when immigrants go to Italy, they're in the milk and the cheese business, and when they build railroads in England, or when they went to NASA, Lockheed Martin, Silicon Valley, so they've done extremely well for themselves. And we call them the rednecks / people who are apart from the Rust Belt states in the United States and also from the Midwest. So when these people, most of them are not even literate, resort to such shortcuts in life where they know that they don't have the intellect or the mind or the ability to work hard as we immigrants work, then the next thing they do is they take the shortcut and then they use weapons, you know, the F word, and then they get violent. So that ought to give you an idea of the kind of intelligence these people have. And you know, number two is, you know, Megha, the other problem is that for the longest time, the whites have lived in their ivory towers. Now, you know, after gasoline in the Arab states and now China coming up and India coming up, they're mentally at unease because for them, an immigrant was nothing more than a slave or somebody who would do their dishes. And especially when, if you look at the French, the Spanish, they've ruled over 3/4 of the world, including the Portuguese. And I was surprised on my last trip to go out, the Portuguese and have been in India as long as Sikh religion has been. So they are very uncomfortable because when they see that somebody from India who drives a much bigger car and has a much bigger house, obviously then these people resort to such mindset. So I think not only should the Western countries look into it more seriously because their politicians are also pandering to it. I mean, the way Donald Trump is saying that, you know, he demonizes every immigrant. Not to mention, he doesn't know that if there were no immigrants, Lockheed Martin, Boeing, and, you know, Microsoft and the Silicon Valley wouldn't have been there. So they further divide the society, and I find it more humorous than actually using a strong word of hatred when Donald Trump says that immigrants are eating your pets. So you got to have an idea of the way they're further dividing the society, and only because we Browns, especially as Sikhs, can be identified because of the turban. I mean, I've been offered from a plane a few times. I've had people, you know, call me a Paki. And you know, Megha, one more thing is very unfortunate that people from Pakistan and people from Arab states, the way they are fleecing the social security and the healthcare system in these economies. You know, an average illiterate white does not have the intelligence to realize that this is not an Indian turban, this is an Iranian turban, or this guy is not an Indian. So then they, out of their act of frustration, walk into Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, and for the cheap theatrics and their 2 minutes of fame, they take, you know, they start offering chicken into that restaurant.
Okay, all right.
So
All right, but then,
it's a mindset problem. And
I think there are a lot of things involved in these attacks that have taken place, and the 3 attacks that I mentioned, and yeah, my guest rightly pointed out at this time that the narrative, even as the success and the prosperity of Indians is not digestible to a certain people, certain individuals living in these countries, these territories, is something that needs to be a narrative building effort to ensure the safety and security of Indians in all these countries. I thank all of you for joining me on the telecast, and on that note, I slip into a short break. Thanks for watching NewsX.
Co-powered by PolicyBazaar.com. हर फैमिली होगी इंश्योर्ड.
स्माइल. ना गलत समझ रहे हैं आप. ये ज़ीब्रा नहीं है.
एक्सक्यूज मी.
जब कोई पॉलिसी बाजार से बिना कंपेयर किए शोरूम से महंगा कार इंश्योरेंस लेके 30,000 रुपए तक गवा बैठे, तो उसको ज़ीब्रा नहीं,
गधा कहते हैं. नवाचारी और नवोन्मेषी शिक्षा व्यवस्था से युवाओं की आशाओं को नई उड़ान दे रहा है नया उत्तर प्रदेश. ग्रामीण परिवेश हो या फिर नगरीय क्षेत्र, गुणवत्ता युक्त शिक्षा बनी है नए उत्तर प्रदेश की पहचान. स्कूल चलो अभियान और शारदा प्रोग्राम जैसे अभिनव प्रयासों से ड्रॉप आउट दर में आई है उल्लेखनीय गिरावट. ऑपरेशन कायाकल्प और टैबलेट वितरण जैसे कदमों से डिजिटल शिक्षा को मिले हैं नए आयाम. बेसिक शिक्षा से हायर एजुकेशन तक शिक्षा में उठाए गए अभूतपूर्व कदमों से हुआ है एजुकेशन का ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन. अंत्योदय और बिना किसी भेदभाव के सबको समान बना है युवाओं के उज्जवल भविष्य का आधार. वर्ष 2017 के बाद डबल इंजन सरकार के अभिनव प्रयासों ने नए उत्तर प्रदेश की शिक्षा व्यवस्था में किया है युगांतकारी ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन. समान शिक्षा का अधिकार, डबल इंजन सरकार.
दम आलू कैसे बना? और दाल तड़का भी और मशरूम मसाला भी.
बिना MDH मसालों के टेस्टी खाना कैसे बनेगा? MDH दम आलू, दाल तड़का और मशरूम मसाला. MDH से खाना हर बार मजेदार.
मस्त है. सरस छे. उड़ी बाबा.
MDH सदा आपको नए स्वाद देने के लिए प्रतिबद्ध है.
MDH
Under the skilled leadership of Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath, Uttar Pradesh is emerging as a new force in the defence sector.
30,000 करोड़ रुपए के निवेश उत्तर प्रदेश के अंदर डिफेंस सेक्टर के ही होने जा रहे हैं.
A defence corridor is being developed in 6 major districts. By fostering defence manufacturing, this is promoting India's self-reliance. The defence corridor has attracted investment commitments worth rupees 30,000 crore. 96% of the land allocated has been acquired. Out of 2,097 hectares, 2,015 have been secured. In Lucknow, the BrahMos Aerospace Integration and Testing Facility has been constructed. Built at a cost of rupees 300 crore, this unit stands on 80 hectares and will produce the world's state-of-the-art supersonic cruise missiles. Apart from strengthening the defence sector, the UP Defence Corridor will also provide employment to young people.
जब जब भूख सताए MDH याद आए, सेहत और न्यूट्रिशन मिले, बॉडी क्या स्ट्रॉन्ग बने, थोड़ा खा के पेट भरे, डाइजेशन को ना दे धोखा, MDH सोयाटीन का चौका.
MDH सोयाटीन बढ़िया नगेट्स, सोया चूरा और सोया चाप.
MDH सोयाटीन, असली प्रोटीन.
MDH.
Hello and welcome. You're watching NewsX and I'm Megha Sharma. According to reports, a Ukrainian OnlyFans model was brutally tortured at a sex party in Dubai by rich Russians and left for dead with horrific injuries. The 20-year-old Maria Kevolok is a resident of Lviv, which is in Ukraine. She had traveled to Dubai in December 2024 for modeling opportunities. On 9th of March, she informed her friends that she was going to attend a hotel party with 2 men claiming to be model agents. She missed her flight to Thailand on 11th March and thereafter went missing for 10 days. On 19th March, she was found critically injured on a Dubai roadside with a broken spine, fractured limbs, missing teeth and scalp injuries. Kowalchuk was swiftly hospitalized. She had to undergo 4 surgeries. The severe head trauma she sustained resulted in significant memory loss. Although the Dubai police claimed Kowalchuk had entered a restricted construction site alone and fell from a height, her parents have rejected this narrative. They have cited inconsistencies and severity of injuries as evidence of assault or trafficking. The victim, who originates from Ukraine, claimed that she had been beaten by Russian socialites and the son of Donetsk businessmen at a party that involved alcohol and drugs. The victim alleged that they prevented her escape, confiscated her belongings and assaulted her when she fled to an unfurnished building. The Ukrainian police opened up a human trafficking case, suspecting that the victim had been lured into a porta potty party. These parties are notorious for exploiting attendees, offering payment for various degrading acts. Although the victim has faced memory loss, she has claimed that the Dubai police withheld a passport and delayed checking CCTV footage. As of now, she is recovering in Norway and learning how to walk. I have with me Ambassador Basuti Mukherjee. Ambassador Mukherjee, what a shameful, horrific, barbaric act that this girl has witnessed. There definitely have been attempts to cover up the situation, but it looks like with the videos that have been shared by the girl where she is giving her testimony, the number of injuries that she has incurred, the family at this point of time is also pressuring the government in UAE. It is pressuring the Dubai police authorities to look into the matter. Do you think it is possible that in time the girl will deserve the justice that she needs?
Well, Megha, it is a fact that many Ukrainian young women are the victim of horrific human trafficking, including in Dubai. And the kind of narrative that I read and that you outlined brings two very disturbing elements. One is that we don't know whether it was just Russians, or because it also says that they could have been children of rich Ukrainians who were also there at the party. This needs to be investigated, and it can't because the CCTV footage has been deleted. Secondly, the fact that she was a victim of human trafficking and then abandoned with such horrific injuries also shows cover up on the part of the host country. We can't get away from that. And these kind of parties Dubai is famous for, or notorious for, I should say. And more Ukrainian young women seeking to escape the ravages of war in their own country are being trafficked in this manner. It said in the story that she missed her flight to Thailand. That is again another place which is full of trafficked women from these parts of the world where there is war, there is conflict, etc. Be that as it may, I pray that she gets justice. I hope that she can walk again. She said that at the moment she can only move around in her wheelchair, but she is learning to walk with crutches. She is young. Hopefully her injuries will disappear. But what she needs urgently after that is rehabilitation, including mental therapy to get over her trauma, and settlement in a country where she can forget this traumatic incident if it's at all possible, and to re-establish herself so that she can lead a life of dignity and freedom, if that at all is possible. Perhaps it would be possible once peace returns to Ukraine. But it is certainly a horrific story of human trafficking, and there have been such incidents in Dubai, in some other places in the Middle East I don't want to mention, definitely in Thailand, and in some of our neighboring countries I don't want to mention. And usually these are young Ukrainian women who are offered an opportunity to leave the place of conflict and told that they will lead a new life, and when they come there they find that it's a totally different story. So it's very, very disturbing, and definitely needs to be condemned by every right-thinking person, not just we women in your panel, but everybody, including and especially the men who are seeing us, hearing us, and listening to us. Megha.
Brinda Adige is also on the telecast with me. Brinda, what a shameful, horrific incident that has been brought to light. But there must be so many women that must be going through this torture, because as per reports, these parties where women are degraded are held routinely in places like Dubai. And incidentally, there are a number of UAE clients that encourage this kind of activities in exchange for money. Now, how do we differentiate between, yes, this is, the OnlyFans website is where the portal is where this girl was listed in. We understand what OnlyFans is all about. Its legality, its legitimacy, illegal sex trafficking, all, and prostitution, which are the countries where it is legal, which are the countries where it is not legal. How do we ensure that women who find themselves in situation voluntarily or involuntarily is something we can keep aside for at the moment, but their safety and security is something that is paramount, but how does one ensure it?
One of the most important components or aspects we need to look at is trafficking and the international protocols of what the definition of trafficking is all about. We are not looking at women who might make a voluntary decision or choice into sex work. Let's not get mixed up with it. So that's a choice that women make to do sex work. Trafficking is luring, coercing, lying, cheating. And in this particular case, this lady says that she thought that it was a modeling assignment. And in this modeling assignment, she is asked to come to some place, and she went to that place. So there is the first step and the first ingredient for trafficking as per the international protocols of trafficking in persons, period. She's been trafficked because you've called for something, but you've got or forced that person to do something else. One. Two, let's also keep in mind that trafficking is the most lucrative business in the world. Most lucrative. And like Madam pointed out, countries in the Middle East is very difficult to make these complaints because they look down on women, and women who supposedly come in for these kind of assignments are not treated seriously as coming in for a job or coming in for a job interview. It's assumed that if she's come in over here, then she's been bought and anything can be done to such a woman, and even the complaints by such a person is not taken seriously, and that is why the CCTV cameras, the evidence has also been wiped. So let us understand that this is not just traffickers sitting somewhere else, the bad men or the bad women. Trafficking happens because of official complicity. Different people are involved to have arrived, push this woman to this place, where a police itself is not listening to her statement saying she ran away from that place, tried to escape, went into a half-construction place. Now, they have used just that phrase to say she went into a place which she is not supposed to go, trespassing literally, and then she got hurt, she fell off from somewhere. So official complicity is what makes cases of this nature even more difficult for us to register. And let us remember that this is lucrative, very high amounts of money is involved, and very powerful people are involved. So women are never treated either with rights or with dignity or respect, and so their complaints are rarely taken into consideration.
Okay. Sham Sharif also on the telecast. Maybe Sham Sharif, a situation where the girl has been left to her own devices, and as was rightfully mentioned by Brinda, that there was a cover-up that was attempted by the law enforcement agencies. There was a false story that was being peddled, but at this point of time, fresh information has been brought to light. The girl's side of the story has been revealed. Her videos have been released. They are circulating, and with the injuries that she has sustained, it goes on to narrate a different story versus the one that is being peddled by these officials, by these UAE enforcement agencies. Now, here's the situation. Is this case going to move in the direction where the girl will get justice, or is this just going to be in the headlines for a few days and is going to be wrapped up and forgotten, because the girl is not in a position of power? She does not come from money, she does not come from privilege, and here you're dealing with men who have spent I don't know, thousands of dollars to hire this girl for whatever XYZ reason. There was a party that they were holding. It's quote unquote a sex party that was being held. She was brutalized, she was assaulted, she was thrown on the street side, completely injured, unconscious. And this is a place that has happened in Dubai. And it's one more interesting fact, that up until a couple of days ago, there was a mention of some rich UAE clients whose names have now been withdrawn, and the report has been filed saying that there were only these Russians and Ukrainian businessmen that assaulted her. So where do you see this case going?
Well, as per the news that I have read, I have seen that even the Ukrainian government have initiated a investigating team over there. And if you say that where this matter would go, since we don't have any videos in this matter, as we have said, that after 3 months the video automatically just erases from the computer. So if in case there is any kind of AI software wherein those videos can be recovered, then the matters could go into a different direction. Plus, if you look at the story over here, it was said that she went missing, and then after 10 days her body was found, that she was injured and found on the road. So for that also you could say that if she was missing, so where was she taken, who all took them? So if the investigation is taken into a right direction, those 10 days will actually reveal a lot of things about the case. Even if they don't have the videos, but still a lot of story might actually come out. If she was in a hotel, so hotel also have different staff, people who can reveal a lot of things in this matter. Besides that, since it is an international citizen, so the pressure on the government would be a lot. And if you say that the matter might just be brushed up under the carpet, I don't think so, since the names that not names but the persons who have been revealed are from the Russia and the Ukraine, the persons who were from Dubai, their names have been taken back. So the government might act a bit fast, because if in case there were anyone from Dubai, they would not want their names to be involved. So to get over with this case, they might just investigate it soon, bring it to a story wherein the persons who are from Russia and Ukraine, their name comes up and the case gets over. This might be one of the way how Dubai can safeguard themselves in case anyone from their country is involved in this matter. But yes, since the Ukrainian investigation is there, there is international treaties also. There are international laws also. They have their own, what do you call that, secret in investigation. So Ukrainian government would have their own ways to investigate the matter and bring out the facts in this case. But yes, I don't think so that this matter can be, just brushed up under the carpet.
Okay, all right. I have with me Shruti Das Gupta as well. Shruti, situations such as this where, women are already struggling in being able to get justice, and a case such as this of such magnitude that comes up, investigation taking place. The girl right now is in Ukraine. She's getting, getting treatment for these brutal injuries that she has suffered. How do we ensure justice is given to her?
Greetings, and thank you so much for inviting me. You cannot ensure justice to happen in a foreign nation when you have gone there on your own violation, especially when you have a track record of being an OnlyFans content creator, where the platform itself is meant for monetizing sexuality as well as objectification of women. So when you put yourself out there under those particular labels, you have become open and free game for anybody with a nefarious agenda. And that in itself is a very big red flag against her. What we are now able to understand through this case is that all that glitters is not gold. The city of gold, the golden city, Dubai, is not as glittery, as clean as you would like it to believe. It is all an illusion. Although in 1936, all prostitutions were prostitutes
like that. I know of a lot of nefarious, illegal sexual activities that actually take place in Dubai. There are people who travel to Dubai and places like Thailand only to participate in such kind of activities. It's a known fact. It's not as if we have this false notion of what Dubai is all about. And therefore, I'm saying the cover-up that was tried to begin with, there must have been some instances, situations such as this may have previously arisen as well with different other women. And how many of such women may have suffered on the hands of these rich clients who want to remain anonymous? And if something of the sort happens, perhaps if a girl dies, if there has been, a brutal assault on her, a sexual assault on her, and they want to wriggle away, they just simply have to throw money and be done with, and wriggle out of a difficult situation. And I'm talking about Dubai laws. I mean, legally, I'm talking about UAE laws also is something that is that is speculative.
They can allow. A woman, despite being legally equal, cannot travel without the permission of her guardian. So that is one particular position. And from there, I want to draw the parallel that in 2011, there was a case of Lee Bradley Brown, who had an altercation with a Dubai staffer, and he was later found dead in police custody. And till date, UAE believes that he beat himself away while in police custody. Nobody was held responsible for it. So if in the case of men, you cannot find justice, in the case of women, it will be even more slimmer. So something like this, when she has of course, offered herself up. Those 10 days, as mentioned by the advocate in the panel, are of very important observation. We do not know where she was, what was done to her, whether she was part of this porta potty camp that is there, and whether she participated in it or not. But she was definitely there, influenced by various means, fair and foul, to be there and participate there. And what happened beyond that is something nobody knows, and she is unable to speak for herself. So as of now, we can only assume that UAE will not be able to give her justice.
Master Mukherjee, what kind of powers does the Ukrainian government have if it were to get involved in this situation?
Actually, I had been told, Megha, that she is in Norway. She's not in Ukraine at all.
Yeah.
Secondly, she can use international aid groups for justice. Brinda would know more about it than me. She's very famous, as are the other two co-panelists on these issues. But I would like to just mention for Shruti's benefit that even if a person has been lured into a wrong direction and has willingly done something that is completely morally reprehensible, still that person, being human, is entitled to rule of law and justice, and such atrocities cannot be perpetrated on an individual just because she has taken a wrong step. We can't say that she deserves what she got, which would flow from those moralists who would then say that since we are saying that she shouldn't have got into this trap, then did she actually deserve what she got? No, she didn't deserve what she got. She did the wrong thing, as Shruti pointed out. We should work harder to ensure that such people don't get trapped, lured, or persuaded into these kind of situations. But if they do, and such horrific atrocities are perpetrated, we have to remember at the end of the day, they are all human, they are entitled to rule of law and justice. And if that justice is being denied to them because of where they are, and I agree, it's not just in UAE, it's in many other places where a woman cannot travel without a male guardian. There were some places, now it's been changed fortunately, where a woman could not drive a car, etc. But nevertheless, being a foreign national, she is protected by Ukrainian law. She is also protected by what we call in the UN international human rights law, and that is for every single human being in this world. And therefore, if such atrocities are being perpetrated, as we've heard from you, Megha, and from others on the panel, then the international community should also bring to the attention of the government of the United Arab Emirates or wherever else is happening, that such incidents, particularly involving foreign nationals, are not acceptable, and that UAE then is in violation of its obligations under the UN Charter, under the International Convention on Civil and Political Rights, to which it is a signatory because I'm a human rights person, and on the rights of women. I don't know whether they've signed or not. I somehow doubt it, but definitely the UN Charter. They are a member of the UN, and therefore they can be told.
Yes, fair enough. But then United Nations itself is limited by, even if it has the powers, it sometimes restrains itself from acting, as we have seen on a number of issues, geopolitical, economic, for that matter, human rights issues, what is happening in Gaza, and there is nothing really what United Nations can do at this point of time. But at the same time, I would definitely like to point out that if this girl was not a Ukrainian national, but say an American national, I think things would have been much different than they are, that they stand right now. Okay, I'm out of time. I thank all of you for joining me on the telecast and sharing your views. We'll move on to this other breaking development from Bengaluru. This is an FIR that NewsX has accessed in the Bengaluru bomb square. The Bengaluru City Police has taken up a case under the Explosive Substances Act and has booked an unknown person who had abandoned 6 gelatin sticks and connecting wires at a public toilet in the BMTC bus stand in Bengaluru. Belly is on the telecast with me. Belly, what does the FIR say?
Megha, the FIR registered by the Kalasipalia police states that the complainant works as the ATS at the Kalasipalia bus stop and has come to duty at around 8 a.m. in the morning and inspected the Kalasipalia BMTC bus stop and found nothing at that time. Later, at around 1:15 p.m., the security personnel Prabhavati and Raju have produced a bag stating that an unknown person had abandoned it near a bus stand's public toilet, and the toilet attendant suspected that the presence of some kind of an explosive substance, suspicious substance, and they informed the police. And the police who arrived at the spot also confirmed that there were gelatin sticks and the connecting wires to that. And the complainant has also stated that the Kalasipalia bus stop is overcrowded place and urged the police to track down the people who had abandoned the explosive substances for causing harm to the public there. Actually, panic gripped at the bus stand for some time after this news was out that this bag has been abandoned, and there was a lot of police presence in that area. And though the bomb squad did not come, the police themselves found out that these were found separate, so that there was no harm as such. And preliminary investigations suggest that there was some actually quarrying is illegal in Bengaluru. Though quarrying is illegal, there is rampant buying of or purchasing of these gelatin sticks illegally through the market. And
okay, all right. Thanks, Belly, for giving us that information. Moving on to the other big development, Pakistan Army's Shaheen 3 ballistic missile test on 22nd of July ended in failure as the missile crashed in Balochistan. It was fired from Dera Ghazi Khan in Punjab and it deviated from its course. It landed just 500 meters away from the Loop Sherani Levy station in Grapan Pass, far from its intended target. Local Baloch residents shared a video exposing the failed test. Ajay is on the telecast with me. Ajay, what more information do you have?
Yes, Pakistan Shaheen 3 nuclear capable ballistic missile have failed shortly after test, and crash took place there in the Balochistan's Dera Bukti area, and it shows the capability of Pakistan and Pakistani scientists. Because we have seen that during the Operation Sindoor, how Indian forces, they have destroyed their launch pad, their air bases and other things, and Pakistan was constantly threatening that we will, our ballistic missiles and our Shaheen have shown that what they can do, but the reality is now exposed once again that Pakistan's Shaheen 3, which basically was scheduled for testing, it was miserably failed to overcome the expectation of Pakistani scientists and the Pakistani forces.
All right, thank you for sharing that information. The Delhi Chief Minister Rekha Gupta has declared the film Tanvi the great tax-free. Delhi CM says that we are committed to promote films that strengthen the spirit of Rashtra Seva, igniting patriotism and awakens the conscience of the nation. After Madhya Pradesh, Delhi has become the second state to make the film tax-free. Mendi is on the telecast with me. Mendi, the film being made tax-free, the Chief Minister has spoken highly about this film. What more can you tell us?
Well, indeed, after Madhya Pradesh, Anupam case, Tanvi, the great, has been declared tax-free in Delhi as well. And Delhi government has declared that this film will be, showcased tax-free in the national capital. And talking about the film, also the Chief Minister of Delhi, Rekha Gupta, taking to her X platform, also mentioned that, said good words about the film, that how impactful the narrative of the inclusion of the film is there. And it is such an inspiring story of a young special girl, Tanvi, who is determined to, achieve her dreams against all odds. So talking about the story as well, she said, Rekha Gupta mentioned in her post that how the story made her emotional as well and how it is very inspirational. And now Delhi government is also committed to promote films that strengthen the spirit of Rashtra Seva, ignites patriotism, and also awakens the conscience of the nation. So she also extended her warm wishes to the team of Tanvi the Great as well. And not only Delhi but also Madhya Pradesh made the film tax-free, and now big developments from the national capital, where Delhi CM Rekha Gupta herself mentioned in her X platform that the film will be showed tax-free in Delhi as well. Over to you.
All right, thank you for giving us that update. According to the Election Commission, the special intensive revision exercise of the voter list in Bihar has revealed 98.01% electors have been now covered. 20 lakh deceased electors were reported, 28 lakh permanently migrated electors were also reported. There were 7 lakh electors who were found enrolled at more than one place. There were 1 lakh electors that were untraceable. 15 lakh electors forms were not returned. 7.17 lakh electors forms, that was 98.89% of the population, have been received and digitized. Arzu is on the telecast with me. Arzu, it looks like the Election Commission has completed, it's almost completed its revision exercise.
Well, definitely, the Election Commission of India has made a significant progress in the first phase of the special intensive revision of the Bihar electoral roll, and also the information that is being shared as a part of the ongoing special intensive revision SIR of the Bihar electoral roll. The Election Commission of India has reported that 98.01% of the electors have been covered as of July 20 to 2025. The update also revealed that 20 lakh deceased voters and 28 lakh permanently migrated electors have been identified, while 7 lakh electors were found enrolled at more than one location. So additionally, 1 lakh electors remain untraceable, and also 50 are yet to be returned. Out of total 7.17 crore forms, 90.89% have been revised and digitized. Also, electors temporarily residing outside the state are encouraged to submit their forms online or via WhatsApp. Also, the draft electoral roll will be published on August 1st, and citizens can file claim or objections till September 1, 2025. So definitely, information has been given. Also, the draft electoral roll for Bihar will be published on August 1, 2025, marking the completion of this phase. So the Election Commission of India has made it clear that any error or omission in the draft can be addressed through the former objections. Political parties or the individual, voters can file objections with the concerned electoral registration officer or the, assistant ERO of their constituency. Yes,
all right, thanks for giving us that update. On that note, I slip into a short break. Thanks for watching NewsX.